Hello, everyone. We are here again talking WCW on the Stranger Rings podcast. I am Corey,
I'm Tom.
and we are here to talk about one of the most enigmatic personalities in all of the world in the last 2 or 3 decades, I would say.
Yeah, that's a fair assumption, man. We're talking about Dennis Rodman, the legend himself, the Worm, the Hot Rod, Rodzilla, the Dirty Dog, everything that Hulk Hogan called him.
Oh my God, he had so many nicknames in like 2 promos.
He loved Dennis Rodman, man. You could tell.
Yeah, he was the bad boy, man. He was the bad boy before Joey Janela.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine a Joey Janela Dennis Rodman match?
I'm actually surprised that Rodman hasn't wrestled in like the last 5 years, because now I feel like indie promoters would just be all over it.
Right, and I guess I'm pretty sure that the money that they would have to pay him would be ridiculous. But
That's true.
if you can get him, man, it'd be worth watching.
Yeah, and this was definitely worth the watch. Dennis Rodman, like at this point, this is 1997. He has 5 titles at this point with the Bulls. They're dominating the world of the NBA, and he is the best, like probably the best post defender and rebounder in the game for a whole decade. So he was on top of the world.
Right, and not only was he one of the most exceptional basketball players in the world, but he was quite the character as well. I mean, he showed up to his book premiere in a wedding dress. He married Carmen Electra for like a week. I think he dated Madonna for a while. Yeah, it was literally like a week.
Yeah, Carmen Electra. I mean, he was one of the main celebrities in all of the world at that point. A tabloid's dream. You know how much print they got probably from TMZ for this? How much stuff they had to cover just with Dennis Rodman alone?
Oh, it had to have been ridiculous. Like the fact that Dennis Rodman, it's crazy to think that he was one of the most famous people in the world and he wasn't even the most famous person on his own team.
No, yeah, and he's like the third person you think of when you think about the 90s Bulls, which is saying something for how good of a team they were.
Right, and it's crazy to think, too, with Dennis Rodman, that with the Detroit Pistons, where he first made his name, he wasn't quite the Dennis Rodman everybody remembered. Like, he had a pretty normal personality. He was a quiet guy. He just did his job, and then all of a sudden he transitioned into this, the Worm.
The larger than life personality, the guy that he was brawling it out on the court. He was a little bit dirty, you know. He had some tricks to get all them rebounds, and he started spray painting his hair. I don't know if it was spray paint or color, but it looks like he just took a spray paint can to his head. He started getting like, he probably had 17 piercings at one point. He was wearing eyeliner and makeup in a couple of the segments here. You know, just a lot of stuff that is not common for the 1990s.
No, and he also found a place on our fashion watch Mount Rushmore. We've decided throughout all this that I mean, you have to have him on after that display. He might be like in the front, like right in the middle.
Yeah, he was enough to bump Dusty Rhodes off in that spot at least. So what is our updated one here? It's Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman. We have Jesus as well for his suspenders.
Of course, yes.
We have I'm trying to remember for sure. Gosh. I had it memorized before. Taz, of course. I had it memorized before we went on air. Taz, Jesus, Dennis Rodman. Oh, this is embarrassing, man. I should be on top of this.
We already forgot.
Oh gosh, and it's gonna hit me, and I'm gonna be really upset. I'm taking a look.
It was Dusty Rhodes was on there just for that one fit, though, just for the denim on leather.
It was Kerwin White. We forgot Kerwin White.
Yes.
Damn it.
He is pretty forgettable.
Yeah, he's probably the next one that would get bumped, I would say. He's like at the bottom 4. Like, if there was a tier, it'd be number 1, Rodman, number 2, Taz, number 3, Jesus, number 4, Kerwin White.
Yeah, that's definitely how it has to go. And we have to keep it updated. We got to keep the running list because you never know what you're going to run into.
Yeah, it's going to be posted on Twitter for sure.
Yeah, and Dennis Rodman here, just to give some more background on him, he's a basketball Hall of Famer. He is also the champion of the celebrity wrestling that Hulk Hogan did. Did you know
So,
that one?
yes, I did. I watched that like crazy. It was on CMT.
Yeah, I never saw it. I just looked at the Wikipedia and I saw that he was the winner, so that's good.
Danny Bonaducci was an all-star on that.
Oh my God.
He was excellent.
Dennis Rodman is also quite the diplomat here as he goes to he's just best friends with
A
Kim
dictator.
Jong Un of North Korea. He's the only American out of all the Americans. They let Dennis Rodman into North Korea.
Because isn't Kim Jong Un a big fan, a basketball fan? So he loved the '90s Bulls.
Yes, I think that's what I have heard.
I hate that.
But
I
Dennis
just
Rodman, yeah, he's went over there. He's been on a bunch of television shows since his career ended. He was on, I believe, Celebrity Rehab, which is not as fun as these other ones. He was also on Celebrity Apprentice. He just shows up randomly on all these reality shows.
Yes, according to his Wikipedia, he was also the he wrestled for a promotion in Australia for a little while. He had a match with Kurt Hennig. He also was the commissioner of the Lingerie Football League for a little while.
I love that. I love that they just decided it's not even his sport.
They just said, "Who can we get that's a Z-list celebrity?" Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman, yeah, he was definitely an A-lister though during his time in WCW. There's a lot of coverage on 83 Weeks, Eric Bischoff's podcast, that we listened to on the way up to here, and he just said, we paid him $1 million for the dates in '97, I believe is
Wow.
what he said, like $1 million total for like the 4 or 5
Wow.
and he
That's a lot
said,
of fucking money.
yes, it is. But Bischoff said that the amount of money he would have to pay to get that in normal advertising for WCW would have been like 8 times that. But
I
just
believe
because
it.
you have Dennis Rodman, you're in the sports page and you're on, network news.
Right. I mean, this man missed a practice during the actual NBA finals to come to WCW. That's how dedicated he was to making money.
And everybody said that he was, very good in the locker room. Like he was a real fan and he was respectful. So, it works out. Sometimes it's never like in the middle. It's either the celebrity's just like a complete dick to everybody, or they are such a fan that they're respectful to everyone in the back.
Right. Like, as we'll see later, Karl Malone really seemed to get it. And he was one of the celebrities in WCW. You could see, even compared, like when WWE did their guest hosting on Monday Night Raw, you could see like Bob Barker really got into it, but then they had NASCAR guys on and they didn't know Kofi Kingston's name.
Yeah, and then I think the last one I remember that really stuck out to me were people that disrespected the business were Florida Georgia Line was on commentary and they literally never said anything about like what was in the ring at all.
Right. I
So
forgot about that. Fuck Florida Georgia Line.
yeah,
Sorry
not
to
a
anybody that's a
fan.
fan. Yeah.
Not a fan. Not for me.
Same. But fuck them. Moving on, as probably Florida Georgia Line Stan Twitter is going to get upset about that one.
Yeah. Oh well. But yeah, there's people that really get into it, like MGK taking the power bomb off the stage.
Yes, I can't believe he did that.
He's a real one for that. Jon Stewart coming in, ruining the main event. That's gonna have an episode. But
Yes, it
he came
is.
in, he was all in on it.
Yeah, he was a New Day fan after that. Like, it's cool to see these guys when they actually get it. Like, they understand the business and they respect it. It almost always comes to a good product. Like, probably one of the best things of it was Floyd Money Mayweather coming in, and he really helped elevate WWE just by being there. And Ronda Rousey's another one where she just got it immediately. And Dennis Rodman, I think, is one of those guys that in '97 he got it, he understood. In '98 he was just too much of a train wreck to really do anything.
Yeah, and Rodman, I guess his first appearance wasn't in '97, which I couldn't believe. He actually was a corner man for Hulk Hogan in like '95 randomly.
Really?
I guess like just a one-off thing.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
Yeah, somebody, I think Bischoff's podcast said that, and I had no idea. But he had no in-ring involvement until '97. So here in '97, the NWO is running wild in WCW, and of course, sometimes when you bring in a celebrity, it's hard to not have them be the face, the good guy. But
Right.
this worked so well with Dennis Rodman joining the NWO. It's like a match made in heaven.
It is because they are the coolest thing on television, really, is what they are considered. Like, they are they might be heels technically, but they are the ones that you tune in to watch.
Yeah, they're kind of in an anti-hero role. Um, they're still heels because they're spray painting people and destroying things, but
Yeah,
Dennis Rodman was the NWO of the NBA.
absolutely. Absolutely. He was the bad boy, and that's what the NWO was. I think that's a great comparison.
He was just anything he did at this point was just such a big thing that getting him was literally the perfect athlete for them to bring in if they were going to bring in one. And then Karl Malone was probably the second best one because they had just played in the NBA Finals.
Yeah,
So,
the only thing they missed was Mike Tyson.
yeah, that's true. They could have brought in Holyfield. That would have been the way to get back at him. But
Or Lennox Lewis.
yeah, somebody like that. But WCW, I think this was the first big celebrity they got after like Mr. T in like '94, and then they kind of went celebrity crazy after '97, which was not a good thing. But Dennis Rodman was a good choice.
Yes, he was, and at that point too, I think originally when he came on, he was really there to promote his movie. Was like the first month or so that he was there. His Double Team movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, I love that he has an action film.
I've never seen it. We might have to review it, but I don't know if we'd be able to track down the DVD for it.
Might be on Netflix.
We
They
can
probably
only
gave
hope.
it to him.
We can only hope, man. Um, it this one of the things that Dennis Rodman too that I wanted to mention for Fashion Watch just in general is we're going to mention his hair color a lot. The man is known for changing his colors of his hair like a I almost said comedian. Christ. Like a comedian. No, like a chameleon. So keep that in mind.
Yes, and keep in mind that he does wear some random leather gloves all the time too. Was something that stuck out to me. He looked like he was gonna like burglarize somebody. I don't even know.
He was styling. He was styling. Do you want to get right into it now?
Yeah, so March 10, 1997 is the first Nitro where Hogan and Rodman appear together. Rodman is promoting his movie at this point, and is the book at the same time, or is that in '98? I think the book is '97, also.
I can check real quick.
I have the book. I actually own the book. I really want to read it now. Just seeing this.
Oh, absolutely. I'm surprised that he didn't make this. It was 1996 was his autobiography.
Okay, so yeah, his book had come out, I believe, in late '96. So that was also being plugged here because I know the announcers say, Dennis Rodman's as bad as he wants to be, and that's the name of his book. So
love it.
So
you love a good cross
pushing it.
promotion. Yeah, you love a good cross promotion.
Yeah, so it was big. Dennis Rodman's taking the world by storm, and so is WCW. They are kicking some ass in the ratings war, and this only makes it better with Hogan and Rodman showing up at the beginning of the show here in front of a poster of Rodman's movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And Hogan's just kind of hyping up Rodman as Rodzilla, and what did he call him?
Hot Rod, Dirty Dog.
Oh, God. Hogan is just like, he was trying to be so cool that he's like, look at this dirty dog, Dennis Rodman.
It sounds like a Vince McMahon written line.
Yeah, I think he had spent too much time in McMahon's writing room for that. But they're kind of just there to hype Rodman's movie at that point. And then is not there in person this night, but the NWO does come to the ring and hype up that Rodman is in the group now.
Yeah, is this is the one, right, where they were at that Club La Vela where they had the pool surrounding the ring?
Yes, this is the Spring Break Nitro, which is an amazing atmosphere.
I love
Watching
it. Love it. It's absolutely perfect. And um, with especially with the NWO coming out, like the crowd's going crazy, and there are way too many people in the NWO, by the way, at this point.
Yeah, this is only like not even a year into it, right? Because the NWO forms in '96 at Bash at the Beach.
Yes, that's in like July, so it hadn't even been a year yet. It was about what
Or like 7 or 8 months, something
yeah,
like that.
yeah, like 8 months, and we have just coming out here, and it's not. I don't think it was everybody. It was Savage, Liz, Hogan, DiBiase, Bischoff, Norton, Virgil. Yes, Virgil.
Oh,
Kevin Nash.
was that Scott Norton?
Yes,
Because
Scott Norton.
I put some random guy as his title. That must have been him.
Yeah, it was Scott Norton. Virgil, Nash, Hall, Six, and Sting in air quotation marks. The fake Sting.
Yes, this is Jeff Farmer, not Jumpin' Jeff Farmer, but other Jeff Farmer.
Yup.
I'm so disappointed it wasn't the same guy though.
I am too. Like Jumpin' Jeff Farmer deserves to be immortalized, and Fake Sting not quite as much. I'll get into Fake Sting a little bit later, but yeah, they're all here, and they address the fact that Rodman is now part of the NWO.
And also just to set the scene for this in-ring promo, you got like 17 guys in this ring right here. The Spring Break Nitro is incredible. Like this whole scene, the ring is on a floating platform in the water. And then you have just like spring break, like college kids surrounding the whole place. And they still have like the full set and everything. And there's a walkway to the ring it's like a bridge to the ring in the water. It's amazing. And they need to bring this back.
I wish WWE would do something like that. AEW, now they did it on a cruise ship, which was great, but they had a pool available, but they didn't have the floating platform, and that's what they need to do if they want to pretend to be WCW. No offense to AEW, because I love it, but if they really want to go all in, they have to do this. They got to bring it back.
Dude, this is a great idea. Like, and when they would do the beach shows, like they're not able to charge admission, but just the sites for this, it's awesome.
It is. It looks great, and their sets always seem to look great too. Where like the Bash at the Beach one is, they have like a little bit of a beach setting. They're in Daytona Beach, Florida, but they have like the sand and the surfboards and everything as part of the entrance.
Yeah, it's incredible. But this is the night where we get Hogan calling him. Says he's been initiated into the NWO. Like what's the initiation?
I don't quite know. There was something about them being in New York, and I'm guessing it was some partying thing. I would like to have found out what exactly that initiation was. But we do know from them that Rodman was put through the initiation, and that he is, quote, the most censored man in America.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's probably up there at that point.
And Hogan refers to him as Hot Rod, Dirty Dennis Rodman, and Big Bra.
Big Bra. Yeah, I can't believe how many times Hogan said bra. I thought that was like a newer slang.
He had his Venice Beach roots like seeping in.
Yeah, Surfer Hogan just out here, but Dirty Dennis Rodman here has joined the NWO, and Hogan, the worst thing is he keeps calling the NWO fans the NWOites.
I hate that so much.
And I thought that was just something he was trying to get over, like, at this point. But then he said it, like, in 98 in one of the promos, too, and I was like, this is really not good. Like, not the right word.
It just seems so weird. Like, I don't have a better one that I could come up with at the moment, but like NWO fans would just work. Like it would work fine.
You could just call them the Order. I don't know.
True. That wouldn't be bad. But here they have Dennis Rodman. He is. Oh no! Wait, there is a backstage segment after it, wasn't it?
I know he's not there in person. He may have had another backstage segment. I only caught that first one at the beginning of the show.
Oh, this was fun here. He said that they had a backstage segment after. Rodman is shirtless with purple hair, shades, and a beret for Fashion Watch.
Oh,
And
dude, I'm so mad I missed this now.
it gets even better because remember how Hogan talked about what he would do for Eric Bischoff last episode that we did?
Oh, yeah.
He said, whether it's your new movie Double Team or the two of us triple teaming.
Oh, I did see this promo. I just didn't write it down.
Yes. So he talked about triple teaming, but then never went on to say what they were triple teaming. So
Yeah.
I can only assume that he referred to something that we're not going to talk about on this podcast because I don't want to picture it.
Oh God. Yeah, I did hear that, but I don't know. I didn't write anything about it. Maybe I did remember that line though, because in my head I was like, Hogan just can't choose the right words sometimes.
Rodman followed it up with, we can do a double team, triple team, whatever. The NWO is the team of the future.
Yes. I see, I wrote this all in one because I did have Rodman calling the NWO the team of the future in my notes. So I did see that. I'm glad that I got to see that.
Yes. And we also had, then afterwards, I think there was another NWO segment on the same night.
There's a lot of NWO segments. Too many to count.
Yeah, because I think we're on the third or fourth one, technically, if you count Hogan and Rodman's two asides, where Hogan now calls Rodman the most censored man in the universe. The entire universe.
The whole thing.
And then Hall and Savage say some random shit, and I think Hogan said that NWO is tits.
Yes, he did. He did say that. Yep.
What the fuck?
Hogan called the NWO the tits. Yeah, this is something.
Unbelievable. Unless it was some sort of 90s slang that we didn't understand, which is possible, but
I think it is though, because I have heard people say that are like in their 50s.
So maybe it's just something we missed.
It must have been the time.
But Hogan's being very questionable here with all of his statements, his double entendres.
Just like Hogan's 2000 promo about what he was going to do to Eric Bischoff. It must have had a different meeting 20 years ago.
Yeah. It just aged so poorly.
Yeah. What also aged very poorly is the match at Uncensored between the NWO, WCW, and Team Piper.
Team Piper / Team Horseman. They called it both, and I didn't know who was on what team.
I literally had no idea what was happening this whole match.
I had fun. There was a lot of good stuff here. But this was quite possibly one of the worst, it had two of the worst matches that we've reviewed so far in them, and this was one of them.
Yeah, I skipped through to pretty much the Rodman part because it was just a lot of, people taking control at points too. But Rodman stuff was good here.
Yeah. I just want to, because I watched this match, I have to get this spiel out of the way because I subjected myself to it. I wanted to go over the rules, but I didn't understand them. I know you can eliminate somebody by pinfall, submission, or over-the-top rope elimination. There were two teams of 4 and one team of 3, so it was already uneven. You had every 2 minutes, you had a member of each team come out, and you kept having them until the last man standing won. And if Team WCW won, then NWO would be banned from WCW for 3 years. If NWO won, they can wrestle for the belts anytime, anywhere, which they can already do.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that. And if Team Piper won, he got a shot at Hogan for the world title inside a steel cage. And this was all according to Michael Buffer, who had a very unenthusiastic introduction for everybody
Yeah,
throughout the
the
match.
the introduction, like, that was long-winded. Like, he had like a full like printer piece of paper of what was happening there.
And holy shit, like one of those old school like ones, like how Jericho had it when he talked
Oh
about the
yeah.
1,000 holds, like that's what he had. So we get Giant dominating part of the match at the beginning. We had Hall break up a pin, even though if somebody's eliminated, it would help his team.
I did see that, and I do want to mention I have seen this match before, like 5 years ago, because I know this is the match where it's very bad, but the ending is worth it.
I agree. I agree. But Giant was eliminated over the top rope, and the announcers didn't realize he was eliminated because the rules were so complicated. And then Tony Schiavone's like, "Oh my God, he's eliminated!"
Yeah, yeah, I did see that part. And Big Show, man, the long hair, what a look.
Yeah, he was looking pretty good too. He was in great shape.
Yeah, he was like solid at this point. No, you could tell he was able to really move around.
Yeah, and like, cause he took that bump over the top, and it was seamless. Like he didn't have any issue whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. He was on a very athletic level at this point of his life.
Yeah, God bless the Big Show, but or the Giant. I hate that name.
The Giant.
The Giant. Poor Paul White. So I didn't have a whole lot to say about this match because it was mostly just brawling and trying to throw somebody over the top rope. But Bobby Heenan had a good line where he said, "You're really gonna have to beat this man in order to beat him."
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Oh
so
man.
he had that, and then right after that, Mongo McMichael came out. So I was like,
Yes. This is the match with Mongo. I thought I forgot if it was this match or one of the further ones, but I was happy he was there.
yes. Anytime have you seen the things I've been retweeting on Twitter? It's the "What is Mongo doing" Twitter account.
Yes, that guy is a saint for creating that, because the one that made me, I think I laughed so hard I almost cried, was the one where he ducked the clothesline with his hands up.
Yes.
And then he like did some like weird like botched DDT, and he was like, "What a unique takedown."
Yes, that one is absolutely phenomenal. We're gonna give him. Be sure to tweet at him, give him a shout out, because God bless for creating such a wonderful Twitter account. This match, anyway, we get to the point. Hogan comes in last, and he comes in with Rodman in tow. And now Hogan is supposed to be the same height as Rodman. They're both supposed to be 6'7". Rodman is at least 3 or 4 inches taller than Hogan is.
Well, Hogan was nearing 50 at this point, so he may have shrunk a little.
It was the bad back, brother. He had poor posture.
Yeah, no, yeah, is that what he's built at 6'7"?
Yes.
Yeah, I knew he was like actually a pretty big dude, so he's probably like a legit like 6'5", maybe 6'4".
Yeah, probably 6'4", which is still huge, but you got to get those wrestling heights.
Yeah, and Rodman, like, which is wild, is Rodman looks really big here, and he's like undersized for his position in the NBA too, which is just wild.
Right, and compare him to Karl Malone and how huge he looked. That's when you can really tell, like, okay, well, this guy is actually, compared to his contemporaries, pretty small, which is crazy to think of because he is 7 inches taller than I am.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's got a good 10 inches on me, so he's taking me down in the post every time, unless I somehow low blow him.
That'd be the ultimate strategy to play basketball against Dennis Rodman.
Yeah,
just hope
that
for the best.
honestly. Yeah,
So,
like he used to do the whole thing because he was undersized. Like he would like pinch people and shit when they would go to like grab rebounds, is what I had heard. Like he had all kinds of dirty little tricks to do that would make him, average 15 or 17 rebounds a game, whatever he averaged.
yeah, it was something ridiculous. He was like Draymond Green, but on a completely different level.
Yeah, he didn't score as well. He couldn't. I think he's like average is like 5.5 a game, which is insane for how valuable he was on the other end to like justify him starting.
Yeah, because he not only on as a rebounder but as a defender too. They said he could legitimately cover all 5 positions on the court.
Very rare. He was a very rare build. He's like a LeBron James size. That way he can just man up anyone.
Right. It's really amazing. And what's also really amazing is the fact that Rodman is wearing a Hollywood top hat.
He is. He's wearing. This is the fur hat, correct?
Yes.
The fur top hat, what looks like pajama pants, um, a leather jacket, and leather like O.J. Simpson looking gloves. And like the only thing I compare it to, like when I saw those gloves on him, I was like, well, they fit him. I mean, like I don't even know. It just looked
That's
like he was either going to shovel snow or break into a house.
that's amazing. That's Rodman was also rocking the nose ring and the NWO tank top, and he also had the world title over his shoulder. He was carrying it out for Hogan. He was very happy to hold it.
Yes, he was. And what's weird about this is you're paying Hulk Hogan so much money, and he like barely enters the ring in this match. Him and Rodman just stand there. They come down to the ring just to watch for a minute.
Yeah, like an entire minute. And the only reason that they did anything was because Piper like just blasted Hogan. Like he ran in and his instincts kicked in, like his politicking. He's like, "Oh, I forgot that I hate Hogan. I'm gonna whoop his ass."
Yeah, seriously. But Rodman is used very well here. We touched on that when we were texting before this. They really debuted Rodman's, involvement in a match very well without
They
him having
did.
to wrestle, because we're still in the middle right now of the NBA season, like the playoff push. It's mid-March.
Right. I keep forgetting about that too. Like all this is going on except for his actual matches that he has. All this is going on during either the regular season or the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. He's a busy man right here. And that was something I believe Eric Bischoff touched on during the 97 run, was that he got a little bit of heat for paying him so much money, but he's not able to get in the ring and, take any moves or do any moves or whatever. And he said, what people didn't think was like, oh, they're paying this guy $1 million and he's just going to be like on the outside and try to sell NWO merch. But he said, guess who was a free agent in July? Dennis Rodman. So he could, have a match because he's not going to be under contract until like August.
I didn't even think about that. That's really wow. Shout out to Eric Bischoff for considering that and realizing the situation at hand.
Eric Bischoff, man, he does know business. Like he is very good at the actual business side, just not, sometimes not all the in-ring stuff and storyline
Right.
done. But he has definitely always been in tune with contracts and how to get people, into the company.
Right. And the good thing about him too, what I've heard, I think Alex Shelley said it and maybe somebody else from TNA, is that he was also willing to help the young guys too, which is something that's really cool about Bischoff is that you see the personality that he has on TV and you hear the horror stories and you think, well, that's how he is in real life. But it's cool to know that he's actually he's willing to help out others, and I think that's just something that we don't really hear a lot about from Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, no, everybody kind of, I don't know, he gets like a sleazy kind of vibe almost, I guess. I don't even know if that's the right word for it, but like that he always like he's like the KD of wrestling, like he's a snake.
Yeah, like that's what he's really considered. I love that comparison, by the
He's the
way,
Kevin Durant.
of wrestling. I like comparing the basketball comparison nowadays.
True, yeah, because he just always seemed like, I guess everybody thought Bischoff always had an angle. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure, but what I am sure about is Piper's elimination from this matchup when Dennis Rodman gets involved and he pulls down the top rope for Piper to be eliminated.
Yeah, he eliminates Piper, which is a great first use of Dennis Rodman. And he also, it's revealed that he has spray paint on him concealed in his leather jacket.
Dun dun dun.
Of course he does. You got to stay strapped with the spray paint. You never know when you need to tag something.
Yeah, you just got to break it out. When you're part of the NWO, it's like that was the initiation. Well, you have to tag the side of the building with the NWO logo.
Yeah, there you go. And so Rodman, like, after he pulls down the rope, he is fully involved. So they allude to him having the spray paint, so that's going to come into effect at some point. And he also starts choking Piper with a chain shortly after this.
And as Savage and Hogan beat him down, like, it was a really good thing, and it almost set up the fact like that he would be wrestling Piper. But I don't think you want Piper near a celebrity after like what he did to Mr. T.
Yeah, Mr. T will probably we haven't talked about that, but he'll probably get his own episode too.
Oh, I didn't even think about that because he reappears in WCW in like '95.
Yeah, he has two appearances in WWE, like very high profile ones at the first two Manias, and then 94, 95, he just he comes to hang out with Hogan.
I love it. I'd never thought about doing a Mr. T episode, but that's got to happen now.
Yeah, I love Mr. T. Everybody gotta love Mr. T, man. It's hard not to like him.
He pities the fool.
He does.
Now, back to the match, we end up getting a 4-on-1 to Lex Luger against all the NWO guys, which is Hall, Nash, Hogan, and Savage. And Luger actually makes a hell of a comeback against the four, and he taps out Savage and Hall with the torture rack submission. And that's when Dennis Rodman comes back into play here.
Yeah, and you know what? I got to stop and say that I love Lex Luger. Lex Luger is actually one of I think he's been overrated so long that he's now underrated.
I think that's probably I'm in the middle on it because I don't know how I feel about Lex Luger. Like, he's obviously not quite as good as the top guys, like he's being pushed, but he's not so terrible that he's not so terrible that he's an embarrassment to wrestling like people would say that he is.
No, like, and when he first was, fighting Flair in the late 80s and early 90s, like, he was very over, and he had some really good matches with, if he had the right, partner for the match. And I think if he didn't leave for WWF, he would have been a lot better of a wrestler by this point. But I don't know, because I feel like if he's working with Flair more often, he's working with a Sting instead of going and working with Yokozuna and Mabel and Kevin Nash. I don't know. Just maybe it would have rubbed off.
I like that. I never really thought about that either, but Lex did struggle when he was with the WWF. He had the complete push with the Lex Express and everything, but he was never really that guy. He'd never be a Hulk Hogan type, just that's not his personality, but he was crazy over in this match and in the match with Rodman later. Like, the man was really popular.
Yeah, he was super over. I didn't realize he was this Oprah. This Oprah, I just said. This, I didn't realize he was this over at any point in his career, honestly. Like, I know his late 80s, early 90s stuff, like, he was really over against Flair, and I didn't realize he got back to that level in 97.
Yeah, he really, it's cool to see like them have another big baby face. And as we will touch on later, he ends up taking the belt from Hogan for a week, but here he looked really strong. Like, everybody else in the WCW kind of looked like dumbasses compared to, because the NWO just squashed everybody. Benoit had a decent showing for a while, but he ended up getting tossed out. But Luger looked really good until the finish when Rodman takes the spray paint can and he sprays it in Luger's eyes, and apparently that's enough for Hogan to get the win.
Yes, he is blinded. It's burning out his retinas as this happens, I guess. Even though he had just torture racked 3 men, and it looked like he could fight God himself and have a chance at this point. Like, this dude just started torture racking everybody. But it was fun to see. I started getting hype when Luger started pulling the torture rack, because that is an underrated move, no matter who, it might be Lex Luger's move, but the torture rack is still great.
Please tell the story of that guy torture racking somebody in a bar.
Oh yeah, I forget exactly. It was one of my old youth football coaches, and he said that one of his friends was like super jacked in like the late '90s, and that some like smaller dude tried to like jump on his back in a fight while he was fighting somebody else in a bar, and the smaller dude jumped on and somehow ended up in torture rack position, and this dude just started torture racking the dude in the middle of a bar. Oh God, I wish I could have seen it. This is the same guy that told me too. He must have been a big wrestling fan back in the day because he said somebody tried to like tackle him in a bar fight and he grabbed the DDT on the way down and the guy got knocked out cold and he said he started rocking there like Mankind.
Amazing.
I hope those are both true.
I knew you had to drop those on the podcast. I completely forgot about it until that moment, but holy shit.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that too. I just remember him saying the DDT one I can understand more than fucking torture racking a human being in the middle of a fight. But the DDT at least you can grab and hope. But he said he just sat there and rocked like Mankind in the corner of the bar.
God. As we know, the torture rack is a shoot painful move, like in backyard wrestling, where Corey got me in a torture rack, and that thing was not pleasant.
No, and what's even harder is that is a very hard position to hold somebody too. Like that's rough. It's not like the attitude adjustment where they're like firmly placed. Like you have to balance them as it happens too.
Yeah. It's because you're dropping people on their head if you mess it up. But so shout out to Luger for taking such a difficult finisher and making it his own.
Yeah, and he did have Hogan in the rack too. Like he was about to go for the 4-peat right there when he got sprayed in the eyes. So it did set up the feud with Hogan very well. So it had its purpose.
It did, and then we get the Hogan win. The match was terrible, but the moment afterwards was, oh my gosh, one of the coolest moments that I've seen in WCW. They all too sweet Dennis Rodman when Sting repels from the fucking rafters.
Well, first though, we do have to say, there's a lot happening here. Rodman does spray paint Luger on the back too.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Before Sting comes down, and he paintbrushed him. Like he got on top of him and slapped him back and forth a couple times.
I forgot that happened. There's so many NWO beatdowns that they all run together sometimes. But that was a great heel. Like Rodman understood how to be a heel. Yeah,
and you know what? I do have to point out that was the real Sting in that NWO promo. At Spring Break.
Really?
Yes, because he had pseudo join the NWO, and that's why when he rappelled down, they were kind of confused at first, because even the announcers were like, "Well, Sting has turned his back on us too," but it definitely was like the Steve Borden Sting, because you can tell when it's Jeff Farmer.
Yeah, you can. There was the one point when he comes out, and I'm like, what the fuck? Are you serious? Like, is that really supposed to be Sting? But apparently it was good enough where it confused me because...
Well, I don't think they showed him, like, super close in that promo because there's so many, like, there's, like, 38 people in the ring. But it was the real Sting because that set him up to rappel down here.
Yeah, and he gets a ridiculous pop, and he lays out Hall, Nash, and Savage with the bat, and like they all bump and feed for him really well, and the crowd's just going wild when he points the bat at Hogan and Rodman.
Oh yeah, and you know what? My only criticism of this is I don't think you had to have him touch Hogan here.
I agree. I think that would be enough, but the issue is Sting didn't appear on every Nitro. You had to like almost like an Undertaker type thing. You had to maximize his performance once he was there. So I can get your point for sure, but you want to pay like if you think about it from like Bischoff's perspective, you want somebody to pay to see Sting get his hands on Hogan.
That's true. Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think it's a make or break thing for this segment. If this would have happened in October to build up to Starrcade and you hadn't seen Sting for a while and he just points the bat at Hogan and goes off the air, I feel like that's like such a great setup for Starrcade.
True.
But it works here. It's one of the most iconic moments in Nitro or in WCW history. So I mean, it worked out well, but it's just like the shot of them cutting to black as he's pointing the bat at Rodman and Hogan would have been like an epic camera shot.
It would have, for sure. No, I get exactly where you're going with it, too. And here we get Sting giving the death drop to Hogan, which is actually nice to see Hogan show a little bit of, like, he's not just a cowardly heel, too. Like, he could show off, okay, he's willing to fight Hogan, or Hogan's willing to fight Sting, but Sting is just too good for him. And we never really saw anybody get one up on Hogan at that point.
Yeah, it's remarkable what Bischoff was able to do with Sting for all the he gets, dragged through the mud sometimes because of the whole NWO mishandling, but the fact that he didn't have Sting really wrestle for a whole year, but got him to be like the second or third most over person in all of wrestling is incredible.
It is. And the fact that he never even didn't just not wrestle, but he didn't speak either, because it was a big moment after he wins the WCW title and he's forced to vacate it. This is way down the line that he does. It's a big deal on the first Thunder is when he first says his words. But it's just such a huge moment, and it's a great, like you said, it's great for Bischoff to not have a wrestler speak or wrestle, and he still gets over.
Yeah, and it's just, I'm a big Sting fan. I love the fact that he throws the backhand punches because no one else does that. But I need to watch, like, after seeing some of this WCW stuff, like the 2000 stuff's pretty rough for me to watch. But I do kind of want to go back and watch like 97 Nitros now.
That's where I first saw WCW, because they used to have it on the old WWE 24/7, and every month or so they would drop a WCW Nitro from 97. And so I started in the Raw that would be opposing it. So that's where I got my knowledge of Nitro and Raw, like in that era, was being able to watch it and just to see the build up with Sting. Like each week it got more and more exciting.
That's, that would be a cool thing to do, is like watch the two back to back, but that would be a hell of a project. But yeah, if you watch like what WCW did for the whole year and what Raw did for the whole year and like pick the winner each week, like that's a project, but that would be cool.
It would. And I know a few people on the I believe I think it's the Raw Attitude podcast might do something similar, but I don't know if they pick the winner each week. So that would be really cool to do. And I think we might have to at least see some head-to-head Raw and Nitro later in the show, like try to check it out and see. It would have to be some of the more ridiculous episodes of each, though.
Yeah, true. Like if the embalming of Stone Cold and like some crazy Nitro thing happened at the same time, that would be good.
Yes.
But there's some where, it's like they didn't know what Nitro was going to do because they were live, but Nitro could match Raw for a while because it was recorded.
Yeah, they did that. That's how you got away with Rick Rude appearing in two places at once.
That's true. Yeah. So Sting takes out Hogan, and March 17th, Nitro happens here the next night, and Rodman and Hogan have a little vignette, and the only thing really, there's two things from this promo that I pointed out. One is that they called Sting bewildered, is what Rodman said.
Yeah, I wrote that down too.
I don't know why Sting is bewildered, but Hogan and Rodman also declared that they were blood brothers.
I guess that's what happened with the initiation.
Yeah, I don't know. Did they cut the hands and like shake?
That would be amazing if that's what it was. Like that NWO getting real spooky with it.
Yeah, and I mean that's really all that happens with Rodman and Hogan here.
It was fun. It was a fun segment.
It was a good little and they have the NWO effect. It's black and white. You get like the cool very progressive vignettes for the time.
Yeah, it was revolutionary, really, because everybody was just used to the fact that, okay, this guy's going to stand here and cut a promo, and you're going to be able to hear him and everything. And this, it's like you have to listen really closely to what they say over the whole New World Order stuff that's going on in the background.
Yeah, yeah, they always had the overdubbing of their Too Sweet and New World Order and whatever going on in the background. But we don't see Rodman for the next couple weeks there until April 7th on Nitro, where Rodman and Hogan are at the premiere for Double Team, his action film with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
My favorite part of this, and I don't know if you caught this too, was where they got the photo up with Hulk Hogan and Jean-Claude Van Damme. And Hogan was very nice. He's like, "Brother, I've already seen the movie and I love it so much. You did a great job." And Jean-Claude Van Damme's like, "Thank you." And he turns around and he just has this look of disgust on his face.
Well, I mean, compared to everything that Hogan has made, this is
Yeah.
probably a fucking 5-star classic. Add 3 if in the Tokyo Dome movie.
You mean that Suburban Commando doesn't do it for you?
Yeah, I've never seen Suburban Commando, so I
I
couldn't tell you.
I haven't as well. I've seen No Holds Barred before, and let me tell you, that movie is garbage.
That's going to be a fucking episode too, because I've never seen it. I own it. I own the DVD, but I've never seen it.
Oh, we're gonna have to do that in the Chaperone double feature.
Oh, the Chaperone. I saw parts of that though.
Triple H, you know that a movie is bad when Triple H looks like a decent actor.
Best WWE Films movie is The Call with Halle Berry though. It's barely a WWE movie though, because it's just David Otunga has like a role as a police officer, and Halle Berry's an incredible actress. So, I mean, they got it right there. It didn't make any money, I don't think, but it was good. It was intense.
I'm very excited to do some film reviews because that's something we haven't broke into yet. We've done the wrestling album, but which has gotten a lot more views, or not views, holy crap, a lot more downloads than it had before. Shout out to the New Blood Rising podcast for really helping us out there.
Yes, and you can also, the cheap plug here, you can check out Tom's Perfect 10 match with them about Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome at ECW One Night Stand. That is out everywhere now.
Yes, and it was a lot of fun to record. Like, and just the rest of New Blood's content is excellent. I love the ECW season personally. They did one on the streak as well, and they're currently going through some 1990 WCW, which is sounds like a lot of fun. I haven't gotten a chance to listen to too much of that one yet, but really shout out to them for helping us along as well. And we've definitely seen our downloads go up because of their help. So shout out to them.
Yeah, it's always nice to see. And what else is nice to see is the fact that Rodman has blonde hair with glitter and eyeliner here in this promo. Well, in this premiere.
Serving looks out here. Dennis Rodman. He also had the little crystal over his third eye.
Oh, yeah, he did. Oh my God, dude, this guy, this man, he was making a name for himself in pop culture.
Yeah, he had the gold tux on too and the body glitter. Like he was fucking styling out there.
Now, has he just? I don't know enough about, like, I haven't read his book yet or anything. I just know that he was a good basketball player and he's kind of wild. But he was it like did he make this, like, amplify it to market himself, or was this just something he liked to do?
I want to say it was a combination of both because I know that he was very gender fluid, like the way that he considered himself from some of his interviews that he said, like, him wearing a wedding dress and everything. And I think it might have been partially to express himself and who he really was, but also part of it, like, I can get seen a lot more if I do this sort of crazy thing. So,
Yeah,
like, it's a
yeah.
combination of both.
I don't know if this might be completely unfounded, but I swear I heard somewhere that when he was promoting his book, he was when he was wearing the wedding dress, and I don't know if that's why he did it, but I heard that was like around the same time. But I don't
I
know.
th- I think that was the case. I thought he went to his book premiere or something in it.
Yeah, I got to watch The Last Dance. I haven't seen all of it. I've seen like 3 episodes, and I know they touched on some of that stuff.
I'm gonna have to check that out as well because I heard some interesting things about him wanting to get interviewed, and he only wanted to be interviewed for like 30 minutes, and they wanted him for 10 hours, so they compromised, and he was there
Holy
for 3 hours.
shit.
Yeah,
Dennis, sit here for 10 hours. Like that's a lot of time.
it is. Luckily, he gave them 3 hours, and there was some. I saw the tail end of the Rodman episode, but I didn't get a chance to see a whole lot.
Yeah, I think I've seen the Scottie Pippen episode was the one I watched completely. And I think that might be the only one I've seen completely, but I am looking forward to watching that once I get some time here.
Right. And something that I wasn't looking forward to was Larry Zabisco's commentary.
Oh, I didn't even realize he was on commentary. You know what? Sometimes I just block that out.
It was good that you did because they showed a picture of Dennis Rodman in his dressed up the way he was, and Zabisco said, "There's Mrs. Rodman. Where's Dennis?"
Oh, I didn't even know that was Zabisco. Like I didn't know who was
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah, he said he was the man of 1,000 fouls. Like, say that to fucking Dennis Rodman's face. You're supposed to be the face commentator. And I'm
Oh, is
sorry.
he? I thought he was the heel.
No, he's supposed to be
Oh,
the face. I don't care that like Rodman is supposed to be the heel here. He's also the celebrity, and you want to put him over and not take him down at the expense, like because you're having a laugh. Like,
yeah, he might have been one of the guys that was mad about Rodman coming in because anytime you have a celebrity like stealing potential airtime for you, there's some people that get pissed at that. So maybe he must have just been bitter potentially, or he was told to say that because, I mean, they were told to say the whole line about everybody remembers about Cactus Jack or Mick Foley.
that's true as well. I didn't think about that, but Zabisco a lot of times that was just his like commentary style. He was just real snide, and he always tried to get himself over at the expense of everybody else. So I'm not a fan. Like he was a good wrestler back in the day. Like and he's good good interview as well. But on commentary,
Yeah, I haven't seen much of his stuff, so I don't know. I did hear some of those comments and I was like, "Oh, that's a little stiff." But like I don't know. It's the 90s. It's a wild time.
yeah, that's the thing. I often forget that this stuff just like it ages poorly. But the thing that I loved about this segment was they had Hogan and Rodman like they clearly pulled them aside somewhere and said, "We got to cut a little promo for WCW. What are you gonna say?" And Hogan says, "Everybody wants to know why Dennis Rodman and Hogan are together because we want to have fun and make money." Fair.
Yep. Yeah, it's very fair.
That's what it's
And
all about.
but Dennis Rodman does drop that there's no one in the NWO or Rodman's league.
It's true. And he also says that they say that the color of money is gold and diamonds. So diamond is a color of money.
Yeah,
but
he
also,
did say that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he followed it up with Ric Flair, "Eat your heart out, baby."
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was really good.
It was.
So after this April 7th little movie premiere spot, we don't see him because he's in the process of winning an NBA title. So we don't see him until June 16th on Nitro. So he gets like a good 2.5 month break here while they're taking on the Utah Jazz. Was it the Jazz 97? I think it was back to back.
Yeah, it was.
So he's putting the work to Karl Malone right here. And that will foreshadow for the next year after he puts the work on him again.
Beautiful.
Which I feel bad. I wish the Jazz would have got one.
It adds to the Bulls' mystique, though.
It does. I feel bad for Stockton Malone, though. Such a consistent duo.
It happens, man. It's like the Dan Marino effect. Sometimes you get the chance, but they just couldn't pull it out.
Yeah, that happens. Oh, man. But what else happens is June 16th on Nitro, the NWO is out with a limo and cigars, and Dennis Rodman is here.
And they are in Chicago this night, too, in the Bulls Arena. So they get a ridiculous pop.
Oh, yeah. It's fucking ridiculous. And the camera follows them all the way to the ring from the limo, which was really cool. I thought that was something that like you don't see too much.
Right. I liked it, too.
And Hogan, Rodman, and Bischoff show up in the ring, and Bischoff is like, "This is historic. There's two world champions in one ring," which is kind of wild because that doesn't happen a lot.
Right.
And that was cool, and people love that because you're in Chicago.
That was a really good line. I was a big fan of it. I also liked the Dennis Rodman shirt where it said "NWO, bite me."
Yeah, they always had some good stuff, and that was the other thing that you see randomly in this Dennis Rodman run is that he is pushing T-shirts all the time too. Like Bischoff always made sure it looked like that the segment before the main event was a NWO T-shirt spot.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if it was like always before the main event. When I was going through, because I was just trying to see which Nitros Rodman was on, like it would be like Buff Bagwell hat vignette or like Scott Hall T-shirt, Dennis Rodman T-shirt, and it would just be a quick NWO like 45-second like infomercial.
That's really like genius marketing right there because you saw how many things that the NWO sold. Like there's a sea of T-shirts there.
Oh yeah, yeah. He Bischoff again, he's Mr. Business, man. He might not have the keenest eye for wrestling or wrestling talent, but this dude can market and he can sell shit.
Yeah, like Bischoff really. There was a really good book called Nitro that was about the advent of WCW Nitro, but I think they talked to Bischoff a lot during it, and they had a lot of good backstage information, which I highly recommend that as well. I'm getting through that at the moment.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out. I do have Bischoff's book too. I gotta give that a look again.
Yeah, that would be a nice one to maybe do an episode on somebody like Eric Bischoff because he's had a really strange journey in pro wrestling too. He went from selling meat out of the trunk of his car to becoming the head of $1 million company.
Yeah, dude, the rise of Eric Bischoff, man. That should be a documentary on the network.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did that at this point because, like, you see what they're doing with Undertaker and Edge and all these guys. Like, to bring somebody like that back, it would be really interesting.
Yeah, for real. What else is interesting is this whole night in Chicago. There's a lot happening here. Bischoff, Rodman, Hogan, while they're in the ring, they talk about fighting Giant and Luger that night on Nitro, which is who they are supposed to be fighting at Bash at the Beach here coming up. And what they do is they say, Rodman is like not scared, which is something the celebrities usually, now he's a little different because he's an athlete, but celebrities usually like don't challenge people to a match. But he comes out with Hogan and Rodman says he'll beat down the Giant and he'll beat down Luger. Like he just does not care.
And not only does he call Lex Luger Lex Luthor,
yes, that was great.
Multiple times he said Lex Luthor and the Giant, but he repeated the cliche: the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And he acknowledges that it's a cliche too, which is a babyface move.
Yeah, and you know what? That's literally the motto for his whole basketball career too, man. He's always going against guys bigger, and he is always usually coming out on top.
It's true. That's a really good comparison.
And when I was looking up some Dennis Rodman WCW stuff, like his highlights kept coming in on YouTube too randomly. There was a fucking 10-minute video somebody put together of him locking down Shaq to 0 points in the second half, like magic Shaq, like super athletic Shaq.
Wow.
Which is incredible.
Wow. Shout out to Dennis Rodman. That man, he could lock down. I feel like if you put him in the NBA right now, he'd be able to lock down anybody.
Yeah, dude, he'd be.
I mean, not 50-something-year-old Dennis Rodman.
No, if you throw in like a 30-year-old Dennis Rodman, like right when he got to the Bulls the first time, dude, I would love to see him and like a LeBron just go at it.
That'd be so much fun. Like, would LeBron be able to score on Dennis Rodman?
Yeah, it'd be wild. But Rodman, yeah, here he's ready for the Giant and fucking Lex Luger, which is pretty wild. And Bischoff had the best thing about this promo to me though is Bischoff has a shirt on with Dennis Rodman's face on it.
Does he? I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he has on like a Rodzilla shirt or something.
Amazing. Bischoff, like, he also was bowing to both men too.
Yeah, he was like, dude, Bischoff just having the time of his life right here. I wonder if this was before or after the motorcycle was in the ring, because I think that's peak happiness for Eric Bischoff.
I think that this was before that happened.
That's just like the peak of, I think, Eric Bischoff's life. If I think of anything when I think of Eric Bischoff, it's him having a motorcycle in the ring.
NWO Nitro, beautiful.
Oh man. So they cut to commercial and come back, and Rodman and Hogan are still, waiting for them to come out, and it doesn't happen, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, especially for baby faces. And meanwhile, like Rodman is standing there. He has a shirt with himself on it. um, he's got a backwards baseball hat, and yellow and black sunglasses. But they're out there, and they're, like you said, they're ready for Luger and the Giant. And Rodman gets on the mic and he says, "I'm ready, Hollywood. Let's get it on." So they wait, and he says, he sounds drunk as fuck when he's speaking, by the way.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, he might, who knows? Like, he might have had a few drinks backstage. He might not have, because he's just a quiet guy, like his actual voice. But he said, "I don't want to be here all night, man. I got things to do after this."
Yeah. He said he got parties to go to, and I believe he says that they're going to go to the back and like kind of find them, I believe.
Yeah, like they're getting ready to leave. I don't know if I'm not sure. I don't think they made it clear if they were going after Luger and the Giant or not. But it was a very babyface thing to do, which makes sense because they're in Chicago and they are the faces at that point. But it's also strange when you consider the rest of WCW programming.
Yeah, and then later this night, I don't know if you watched the Luger Giant promo.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you missed a good one.
Shit.
This is something. Luger actually cuts a great promo here. Like he just comes out, and does a good babyface promo about, wanting to fight Rodman and how he tapped out Hogan last week. I guess that happened. He tapped out Hogan last week, and then he looks over to the Giant. Mean Gene holds the microphone to his face, and Big Show is screaming for no reason. Just fucking screaming. He's like, "Rodman! Hogan! I have the choke slam!" And that's it. He takes it away.
Love that.
Like and Luger is like taken aback by it too. He's like, "I think what my friend is trying to say," when he gets the mic back, which is just, oh God, Lex Luger cutting the promo of his life. And so he says that they're ready and they'll meet them in the ring later. So that brings us to the main event of Hogan and Rodman back in the ring again.
And that's where they, he says, "I don't want to be here all night." And they go to leave. Hogan and Rodman, they're like going to go party, I guess, when Luger and the Giant actually come out. And that's where Rodman takes his hat off and reveals his hair, which is 6 different colors.
Oh yeah, dude. He had the like cotton candy going.
And they actually man up, the 2 heels. Instead of bailing, they go to throw the first punch on Luger and the Giant, and Luger immediately fights back on Hogan, but the Giant catches Rodman's punch and grabs him by the throat. And
yeah, dude, he had him up there too.
yeah, like he lifted him like he was nothing, which, I mean, Rodman was only 220 pounds despite being as tall as he is. So he scooped him up and he had him a couple feet in the air, and the pop was insane. Like, despite the fact that Rodman was loved, like they wanted to see Rodman take the choke slam.
Yeah, and Rodman is up. Hogan finally does save him. He I think kicks the Giant in the back of the leg. And but then the Giant turns the tables on him in the wrong way. And he gets him in the corner, which gives opportunity for Dennis Rodman to grab the title belt and hit Big Show in the back of the head and put him out cold.
He leathered him with that belt too. Like he laid it in.
Yeah, and the crowd went nuts for him to hit Giant in the back of the head.
And that's when the NWO ran in, and Rodman began dropping beautiful elbow drops onto the I believe, was it the Giant or Luger?
It was the Giant. Yeah, the other NWO guys started beating down Luger, I think.
Yeah, you're right. But he was dropping the bows, and that's when the crowd started throwing trash in the ring.
Yeah, dude, they got a lot of heat for that. They were throwing a lot of trash, which may have been planted, but I don't know. It looked pretty legit. Like there was a lot of trash.
WCW used to do that a lot where I don't think it was planted because they used to, I guess their liquor that they sold there was really low priced. So they would get the fans would get really juiced for these shows. So that's where you would often see people they would have the nitro parties beforehand where it would just be like really cheap beer and you get to hang out and party before nitro started, so they were feeling good, and that often led to people throwing trash in the ring.
Yeah, and Rodman, they deserve it, man. They spray paint the two faces, Luger and Giant, and they leave him laying in Chicago, in Rodman's hometown. Well, in Rodman's professional hometown, where he is dominating the NBA landscape. And literally, he is the most famous person in Chicago, besides for Michael Jordan at this point. He is literally the biggest star that town has seen in all of the '90s, besides for Jordan. And this is something, man. This is a lot of heat, and the Rodman investment is 100% paying off.
Absolutely, like in the fact that they're getting shown on ESPN and like on USA Today and all these places, like it really shows that they know how to use a celebrity here, and it's so different from when you see in a few years when they use David Arquette as the world champion. Like they get a little bit of a blurb because he's not a huge celebrity, but you get somebody at the top of their game, at the top of their fame, and you put them in the right role without them looking embarrassed, like you're not hanging them out to dry, you're gonna reap the dividends.
Yeah, Rodman is probably the top one or two best used celebrities in wrestling history, maybe. Um, Definitely the best in WCW. I think Tyson was at the top of his height at the point where WWE used him the same year, and then I would say probably Mr. T at that first and second Mania, because the A Team was one of the biggest shows on TV. But those are probably the big three where it was like you got one of the biggest stars at the right time and you did the right things with them.
I agree. I think that would have to be the top three, and you could put it in whatever order you want. I'd probably say that number one would go Tyson, but Mr. T was also valuable to selling those pay-per-views. And I think this Bash at the Beach pay-per-view got a ridiculous buy rate as well. So it showed that Rodman was effective.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'm sure the one with Malone the next year did a great buy rate too, because then you got two opposite sides of the country, like the biggest basketball star on the West Coast at that point, and Karl Malone, and then you have Dennis Rodman still going wild in '98, and I'm sure that they got however many 200, 300,000 buys they were getting at that point.
Yeah, they were getting something ridiculous. Like I think they came close to I forget what the rating point is for pay-per-views, but over 1.0, like, which is a ridiculous amount of buys.
Yeah, and I don't mean to throw out like 200, 300,000 or whatever.
Right.
It's just going off of, I know that Conrad Thompson said that that Spring Stampede that followed the New Blood and everything, the reboot, was like the last one to get over 100,000 buys. So I was just thinking like maybe it's, I don't know, triple what that would have been. But
so
yeah,
I'm checking right here.
I don't know how much of those were like, whatever, public record or not.
Bash at the Beach '98 got 580,000 buys, which
Holy
was the
shit.
second highest selling pay-per-view of WCW's history. Number one was Starrcade '97, which was Sting and Hogan.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I can't find the '97 buy rate.
I can't either, so I'm wondering if that one really didn't do as well as they'd hoped.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. You would think it'd be huge. This one says it got a 0.89, which would be, I don't know what that equals out to. Yeah, I don't know, but that that's something.
It is like it's really, man, I just can't imagine like that many people tuning in to buy a wrestling pay-per-view that isn't WrestleMania.
Yeah, wait, I might have something. Somebody looks like they've done a lot of math on this forum with this 1997. Where the hell is it? I just saw it. Um, I think it came out to be like something like 400,000, like around there, I
I
believe.
the one that I found here would the estimate would be 395,000.
This is Bash at the Beach, correct?
Yes.
316,000 buys, I think, is what this guy has.
So either way, they're getting a shit ton of buy rates for this.
Dude, this guy, I might just put this like on something of ours because this guy did a lot of work. He has like every pay-per-view from ECW and WCW with the buy rates.
That's insane. Like
With like a formula though, like by the number of homes and the buy rate.
that's incredible. I don't know how you could do that. My head hurt just looking at these buy rates.
But Dennis Rodman equals money for
He
right
does.
now. 97 is the bottom line because Stone Cold said so.
We get to Bash at the Beach 97 now, right? We're finally there.
We are here. We are going to witness the debut of Dennis Rodman in a wrestling ring. They start the show with a little promo between Rodman and Hogan, and Rodman says he's going to rock the world, and then Daytona is never going to be the same because they're going to tear the town apart.
And Hogan also says that it's finally nice to have someone on his level, which is a slap in the face to all of the other NWO guys. But he also says it's finally nice to have a fire hydrant that has something in common with.
Okay.
Don't know what that means. Is he talking about peeing on Dennis Rodman if he's like supposed to be the big dog like he said he was?
I don't know. I just don't know some of the things Hulk Hogan says, man. Oh God. But we do get to the main event match: Rodman Hogan versus Giant and Luger, and Hogan and Luger do start this match for a while here.
Yeah, they really stall like almost as long. They stall almost as long as Michael Buffer's intro was.
Yeah, they do stall. I think I counted it was like 10 minutes before Rodman is actually tagged in for the match.
Holy shit.
Rodman, so they're trying to build it up very slowly and painfully. Rodman is wearing jeans and sunglasses here in the middle of his wrestling debut.
He also has glitter on his face.
Yeah, man, he was serving the look for this. And 10 minutes in, we get Rodman tagged in. And Rodman plays his heel role well.
Yes, he doesn't even take off his sunglasses to lock up with Luger.
No, and he toyed him into the test of strength for a while too, and he kept backing away to have a meeting of the minds with Hogan in the corner.
And they really like play up the fact because Hogan wrestled Luger for, like you said, about 10 minutes. They did pretty much nothing, but the crowd was still hot the entire time. Like they wanted to see this match. And when they finally tag in Rodman, get the big pop, they put the announcers play it off as Hogan getting his win back. So then he can come in fresh. So they're really playing up the strategy, which is nice. And it also gets some Rodman sucks chants as well.
Oh yeah, those were loud, pretty loud there. And when Rodman finally does lock up, we get the most surprising thing that could probably happen, besides for like a jumping tombstone from Dennis Rodman. He locks up with Lex Luger and throws a beautiful arm drag, and Lex Luger is fucking shocked, and the crowd goes fucking bananas.
I've never heard anybody pop off an arm drag the way that this crowd did. Holy shit.
Well, it's like it's such a wild card when Rodman comes in too, because you can tell like he's an athlete, but he's definitely not fluid with some of his stuff. But this dude hits a picture perfect arm drag on Lex Luger, and Lex looks like he just shit himself with his facial expression. The crowd like jumps to their feet like they just saw like the Canadian Destroyer for the first time or something. And Rodman just like I think he just like does like the hand wipe and just walks away for a second, and it's like one of the most perfect moments for your first move as a as a celebrity.
Yeah, and not only that, but Hogan and Savage celebrate like they won the World Series.
Yeah, Savage is just out there being the hype man, and they both jump up to the ring and are like, "Holy shit, this just happened!"
And the commentators act like they put it over, like, "Oh my god, an arm drag! He can wrestle!"
Yeah, and that's like you can see like they played this match, the story so well because it's like for a second there, Luger's like he got catfished into this match against like somebody that actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah, like it was really, really amazing, and they put over like the fact that the announcers do that he'd been training really hard, like he and with Hogan in his corner, like kayfabe wise, Hogan is the best wrestler of all time. So if you have that in your corner, you're gonna learn a lot of things.
Yeah, and this is just awesome. But then, Luger, you can't give Rodman too much because, Lex Luger was he the champion already at this point or following
No,
this he
no,
is?
not yet, but yeah, following.
So then Luger starts throwing hella arm drags, which also look nice, which I was surprised by. And Rodman freaks out after getting these the second arm drag. He like flips towards the giant and looks him in the eyes, and then he freaks the fuck out and then gets out of the ring.
Oh, it was so funny. And then like Hogan and Rodman hug outside of the ring and they have another conference. Like that all of these guys played their role in this matchup where it was incredibly basic, like the stuff they did, but the way they worked the crowd made this match really entertaining by the end of it.
Yeah, when you know how to use your character well and build it up, it works. Just like um somebody like Keith Lee. Like when I saw Keith Lee on the Indies the first couple times, he's like, I mean, he's one of the biggest dudes I've seen in a long time. Like that isn't just, like Big Show or somebody. And
Right.
this dude came in the first time I saw him and did like the double leapfrog and like arm drag spot. And I mean, the crowd goes wild because this dude's like 400 pounds, but he's such an athlete. And that's like such a basic, you know, string of moves to do. But when you see somebody like that do it, it means so much more.
Absolutely. And that's with Rodman here. Like when he gets back into the ring, he goes for the he comes off the ropes and leapfrogs Luger like it was nothing because I mean the man could jump effortlessly. But he does a leapfrog and then Luger comes back and Rodman hits the shoulder tackle and knocks him down and the crowd loses their shit again.
Yeah, that he is just showing them that he fucking belongs. And this crowd, they're in Daytona, right? Because
Yeah.
they're just going fucking wild. Like the Daytona crowd deserves just credit for this too.
They do, because I've never really heard of too much wrestling happening at Daytona Beach. Like it's not a place you think of in Florida, where I mean it used to be a great territory, but you're thinking they have stuff in Miami or Tampa Bay or Orlando, but not ever Daytona Beach.
No, but these people were really fucking happy that they got to see Dennis Rodman wrestling here and wrestling pretty well. And then Rodman goes back to the leapfrog twice, but then gets clotheslined by Luger and then tags out, gets Hogan back in. Hogan's in, and he's fresh.
Yeah, and they tag out to the Giant as well. And meanwhile, Shivani had said that Dennis Rodman was showing, quote, flashes of brilliance.
I mean, I guess. Yeah, I guess it works. It works for me. I'll take it.
We'll give him some credit there. So Hogan ends up getting hit with a really bad atomic drop. Like Giant had him up forever for it, and when he finally brought him down, it looked just really awkward. And Hogan immediately tags out and decides to have Rodman face the Giant.
Yeah, what a choice. Hogan needed to rest again after that. And when Rodman comes back in though, like he doesn't back down. He knees the Giant and then he goes for another leapfrog but gets caught and he's atomic dropped also.
Yes, and then he not only gets atomic drop, but he gets spanked as well by the Giant to another huge pop.
Yeah, everybody's loving this Dennis Rodman stuff, man, and this is where the match starts taking its turn towards the finish, going in. I mean, Hogan comes in, he throws throws Giant into Rodman's foot. So they have a nice little tag team kind of thing. They have a little double clothesline they do together. Um, just enough stuff to kind of give Rodman some offense without having him, throw somebody around.
Right, and it still made the fact that it was a double team still made like Luger and Giant look good, just due to the fact that it's 2-on-1. So, like they hit the double hip toss on Luger, and it's basic stuff, but you're building the crowd heat, and like I expected this match to be complete dog shit. I
Yeah.
was really, really impressed by how entertaining this was.
Yeah, and I mean they had a lot of good spots for Rodman. You could definitely tell they took their time. They didn't want this to bomb. I mean, like Rodman Hogan double hip toss the Giant, which was kind of impressive. When the Luger comes in, Rodman is clotheslined by him, but then Rodman goes to the outside and gives Luger the kick as he comes off the ropes. So Rodman just has these little things where he can get in there and make his presence known.
Whoever put this match together deserves a lot of credit. Like, I don't know if it was the wrestlers or if they had like a Kevin Sullivan or Terry Taylor in the back do it, but they deserve so much credit for accentuating the positives of every single wrestler in it.
Yeah, and Rodman comes back in and he is throwing elite back elbows on Luger when this happens.
Oh,
Like
they
when
were
they're in the
perfect.
corner. And like he had the foot choke, man. He had the big man foot choke. Every guy over 6'5" has to do it. And Rodman, like his bumps were good. Like you could tell he practiced his bumps, because the Giant comes in and Rodman bumps around for him.
Yeah, and it's like the same bump every time. It's so textbook, like, but it's perfect, and you could tell, okay, he's taking it right. He's not like slamming the back of his head off the canvas. Like he's distributing the weight evenly, and it's really cool to see, like the fact that whoever trained him did an excellent job.
Yeah, I wonder who actually did like get out there and train him because I'm sure Hogan wasn't bumping around for it.
No, probably somebody at the power plant, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And I mean, whoever did it did a good job. But then we get some weird stuff here because Sting comes out. This is fake Sting. He comes out. The ref is down, and Sting hits Giant with the bat, which causes Rodman and Hogan to put the boots to Luger. But there's some miscommunication, and Hogan punches Rodman, and then Luger throws Hogan up for the torture rack, and Hogan taps out.
Instantly too, like it really puts the torture rack over. And how many times does like Hogan ever lose by submission?
This and the Angle one are the only ones I know of.
Yeah, that's about it. Like I don't know of any others either.
I'm sure there's another couple somewhere, but I have no clue. But the miscommunication was nice because you got a little bit more story there, and you get the payoff of Luger putting Rodman in the torture rack.
Beautiful. Like Rodman and Savage both. Like Luger, if you want to build a new star, like a new top babyface to wrestle Hulk Hogan, this is how you do it.
Yeah, Luger's super over coming off this. The picture op, the photo opportunities for him torture racking Rodman, that's just perfect for every newspaper in the country to put that on in the sports page.
It's just beautiful booking. Like this is one of the, and I think this 97 stuff is what really made this show worth watching for me. Like all of this, because when we get into 98, you could tell Rodman doesn't care quite as much. He's already, it's like been there, done that. He's just there for the money. Like this stuff was fun.
Oh yeah. Rodman was all in 97, and you know what? He might have had some more personal demons as the fame kind of grew and the paparazzi grew, but he definitely was on his game in 97. And I think Bischoff was also talking about in 83 Weeks where he said, were you ever, Conrad asked him, like, were you ever, scared that Rodman was going to no show? And he was like, no. As soon as he's like, as long as he would be there, but it was just sometimes what he would do, like in the ring, in the condition he was in, was the scary part in like 98.
Right. And
so
I think he did no show an event too in 98.
Yeah, I mean they had really bad timing for some of these too because they kept doing it in the summer, like right in the playoff run. So I don't know if it's like he no showed because of that, or if he no showed just because he no showed. But I feel like if you could have got this dude in like August when they're in the middle of the off season, you could do so much more. But I don't know.
Right, because that would interfere with their Road Wild event that they do with at Sturgis, where they're surrounded by thousands of bikers. So I don't know if that'd be the best place to bring Rodman in, but if you're paying him that much money, you got to maximize the time that you get from him.
But he is at Road Wild here too
Yes,
in
wild.
'97, and so after this Bash of the Beach event, July 14th and the 21st Nitros, you get Rodman T-shirt vignettes, which is funny. I like that, but they're selling NWO Rodman T-shirts, which I'm sure sold a bunch, and then you get him appearing at Road Wild on August 8th of 1997. Another pay-per-view. This is Hogan and Luger for the world title, and Rodman is not scheduled to be here. Like nobody knows beforehand, I believe, is my impression.
I'm pretty sure that they didn't build this up at all, that he was supposed to come, because Luger had actually shocked the world by beating Hogan at that Nitro beforehand for the world title. So instead of Luger challenging for the belt at the pay-per-view, he was defending it.
Yeah, so he's defending here. Luger only holds it for the week or 6 days or whatever it was, which is unfortunate. But Dennis Rodman is here, so that works. The NWO, you get a bunch of shenanigans here. I didn't watch the whole match. I just, zoomed to the Rodman stuff because a Lex Luger Hogan match doesn't sound that appealing to me.
No, I actually got mixed up here and didn't end up watching this event, but I have seen the event before, and I remember the match being okay. Like they worked the crowd a lot.
Yeah, he's Hogan's the master of working the crowd. He can evoke the emotion. But the weird thing about this here is Rodman is imposter Sting.
Love that.
He is dressed in the face paint and everything, and hits Luger to help Hogan win. And they just show Sting like walking away, and you can obviously tell like Sting is a white man, and this guy is a black man. So like obviously it's not Sting, but the announcers still play it up like, oh, Sting just hit him. No, it's not Sting.
I fucking like this pissed me off so much was all the fake Sting stuff, because it clearly, when it wasn't Sting, it looked like nothing like him. Like the guy was shorter and heavier than actual Sting. So
it was cosplay Sting.
Yeah, it was cosplay Sting, really. And they always played it up like, I can't believe Sting would do that to WCW. Like, clearly, that's not him.
No, the only thing that Imposter Sting was really good for, like, I guess the first time it probably worked, to a certain reaction.
Right.
The next time it mattered was when there was like the 17 Stings that came out of the crowd.
Yeah.
That was the only one that mattered after that. There was no other reason for, NWO Sting.
No, I agree. Like originally they did it so they could pretend that Sting was in the NWO, even though he actually wasn't, and that's what caused him the distrust from the rest of the WCW guys. Is what caused him to go into the rafters and just kind of observe from there. So that makes sense, but like then eventually, once the Sting storyline ended, they still had NWO Sting as part of the stable.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
WCW.
So after Dennis Rodman dresses up as Sting and helps Hogan win, just in the back you see the NWO celebrating after, and they're just like, "Oh, Dennis Rodman is here!" Like, yes, like they never clearly state Dennis Rodman is Sting. They just never address that.
I can't believe that. I mean, I can because it's WCW, but really. Wow.
Like it's really Dennis Rodman. Like everybody knew. And like why else would he randomly be backstage? But like, whatever. But he gets to spray paint the belt with NWO now that Hogan has it again. And yeah, it's just really weird that they don't make it clear that that's a thing.
Yeah, it's almost like nobody notified them to say, "Oh, well, you have to say it's Rodman." Like maybe it's the director, Bischoff, or whatever. I don't know. That's just really strange.
Yeah, it's different. But I believe that's the last time we see Dennis Rodman in '97.
Yes, because we get to 1998, and let me tell you, this I got an article from DDTdigest.com that talks about some of the things that Rodman had done with WCW, including leaving, completely missing a practice for WCW Nitro. And there's a quote from an AP article here where Phil Jackson said, "I talked to Dennis and he did not speak. He said to my assistant trainer he didn't think he can make it down here in time for the press conference. I asked him, 'Dennis, what should I say to the press?' And he hung up on me."
Oh man, he doesn't care.
No, and he also talked about how he, like, Phil Jackson went on to say, "We couldn't have a society that acted like Dennis. There would be nobody having lanes in the freeway. You couldn't queue up anywhere and get in line. You'd have to be disorderly. Dennis is not a normal person in our society, but he's great in what he does here."
Oh yeah, I guess. I mean, that's fair. I
Yeah.
guess.
And as Michael Jordan put it succinctly, with Dennis comes a lot of baggage. We just have to carry it and we have to accept it.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that he's so good at what he does. It's just undeniable. And I guess that's just they're there to let Dennis be Dennis as long as he shows up on the court and plays well.
Yes, because Big Show had a quote in this article, actually. He said, "The beautiful thing about Dennis is that he's the epitome of a free spirit. If the Bulls try to control him from doing things like this, it would be like cutting off Samson's hair."
Man,
The
that's
biblical
something.
reference. Wow. So I just wanted to share that one as well because it gives a little bit of perspective of how the Bulls are reacting to Dennis's shenanigans.
And this is in the middle of the Last Dance run
It is.
that everybody's going to be gone from the Bulls after this. So it's the last hurrah, and maybe that added to some of the stresses, that Dennis Rodman had at that point, because I believe after this he shows up, like his basketball career is pretty much over, like his meaningful basketball career, and he's not that old at that point. I don't think he's like I mean, for what he does, you don't have to be super like, like he has to be able to jump, but he doesn't have to be able to, dunk on everyone. So he's able to extend his career to, I think, when he's like 38 in the NBA.
Right.
But
Yeah, he was there forever because he played for the Spurs for a bit and the Lakers as well.
yeah, and then he has his final NBA season, I believe, in 2000 with Dallas. He plays randomly with a team that could have been great. I don't know if anybody cares about the NBA that's listening to us, but I mean, that Dallas team had Steve Nash, Dirk, and Dennis Rodman.
That's pretty crazy because according to Wikipedia, he had averaged during that season, he only played in 12 games for them. He averaged 14.3 rebounds per game despite being 38 years old, and during this stint receiving 6 technical fouls, 2 ejections, and a 1-game suspension.
Dude, like this dude was 38, but he's still leading the league at that point, I would imagine. I mean, if not, he's damn close in rebounds.
Right. The only guy I think that would beat him would be Shaq.
Yeah, I mean, and he's nearing 40 at that point, and that's just incredible. I mean, he could have literally played probably till into his 40s if he has that much production.
Right, because you see guys in the NBA right now with that sort of thing that just come in. Like Udonis Haslem had a job forever, just coming in and getting some rebounds off the
He's
bench.
still playing.
Yeah, that's right. I thought they kind of tried to parlay him into an assistant coaching gig, but I think he's still on the active roster.
And I mean, like before Dikembe Mutombo blew out his leg, he was like 43 on the Rockets and still playing like 25 minutes a game.
So like he obviously could have had a career in the NBA still, and he probably could have continued to make appearances in pro wrestling, but his personal life seemed to be getting the best of him.
Yes, I believe this is around the time where I think 98 is where he marries Carmen Electra. Um, he, I think, had more like some more acting roles, like smaller ones around this point too, just like because
Right.
he has a little bit of drawing. His star is definitely starting to fade in 98, but there's a lot of change happening in both the NBA wrestling because WWE is starting to take back over the ratings near the end of the year, and this is just one of the more disappointing runs after the 97 Rodman stuff.
Yeah, and WCW at this point was starting to really fall off creative wise. Like as you can see in these segments, like the NWO shit got out of control where they split the NWO into two with the Wolf Pack, and then all the baby faces joined the NWO Wolf Pack, and Goldberg was the only, and DDP were the only two that weren't in it. And then NWO Hollywood was called NWO Black and White, and they also took a NWO B team, and then the LWO came in, and holy shit, my head hurts.
There's a lot happening there, and I don't know what was. I just know that Sting somehow ends up in the NWO, which should have never happened.
No, I think the Wolf Pack should have been a set. They shouldn't have been NWO. Like I will defend this as much. It should have just been their own stable that was fighting the NWO.
Yeah, that seems like it would have made more sense than just being the NWO Wolfpack. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, red face paint Sting's really damn cool, but it's just weird.
It is like he fought the NWO for so long, and yet he's joining with them. He's joining with like Kevin Nash, and like it'd be cool if Nash was spearheading his own. Okay, well, forget this. I'm no longer part of the NWO. I'm going to be on my own, and I'm going to take you guys down because this is what I started, and I'm going to help finish it.
Yeah, you could take Scott Hall and Nash and make their little, you could have another one or two people with them just to combat the NWO, but they have an angle built there whenever they wanted to split it was like, they gave Hulk Hogan a second run pretty much with that stable, and they
Yeah,
can take credit for it if they really wanted to storyline wise.
right. And that's the thing. Like that could have been them breaking up the NWO could have been the biggest storyline that they ever did. But it just kind of died out, and they tried to bring it back again in 2000, and then Bret Hart got hurt, and everything sort of Russo came in, and then Russo got kicked out, and everything started to fall apart. But it really sucks that we never got to see a proper NWO breakup because that storyline would have been phenomenal.
Yeah, there's so many different things I could have did there, but oh man, it started going off the rails here, just like the Dennis Rodman appearances, where he shows up with NWO Black and White or Hollywood or whatever they were called at that point, and he's in the back smoking cigars with Hogan. There's a bunch of women around him. It looks like they're having a great time, and he just kind of back, like not really a big ceremony this time for him to come back either.
Yeah, it was really, really surprising to me, like that, and especially just with what he's wearing too. He's got his green hair and his pajama pants. Like he does not give a fuck anymore.
No, he doesn't. I mean, like, that's his only appearance on that Nitro. There are rumors swirling, which they kind of get to, about Malone and DDP also. So, like, the mainstream media has obviously caught on to this before Nitro was about to announce it.
Right. But before that, there was one last thing at the end of the June 8th Nitro where DDP was to make a decision as to whether he would join NWO Wolfpack or not. And before he could do that, Hogan and Rodman jump him with chairs and then hightail it to the back before the rest of the Wolfpack can get them.
Oh, wow. I didn't even see that.
It
I
was like a
heard,
minute.
yeah, I heard him, like, maybe it didn't show up as a segment itself. I don't know. But I heard on the next night where DDP talks about how he has an issue with them and how they attacked him with chairs and stuff. And I just couldn't find the segment, so I just said, "Well, it happened." I mean, I just let it go, I guess. But yeah, that leads to the June 15th Nitro where DDP, I believe this is the one where he is in the ring with. Is he in the ring with Mean Gene on this one?
I think that you're right. The only thing I took notes for was the Planet Hollywood press conference.
Yes, yeah, they do have, or with, no, that was June 22nd where the press conference happens. So June 15th, I guess there was just a little thing about DDP talking about recruiting Malone to take down Rodman. But June 22nd, Nitro is where they confirm that Malone is his partner, and they show the whole press conference later in the show. But DDP, this is the one where this is the Atlanta Nitro, correct? Isn't
I'm
this
trying to.
where they jump the shark and they give Goldberg the title?
No, they give Goldberg the title on the July 6th Nitro.
Okay. Because I know this is like where they show the Planet Hollywood press conference, which is kind of cool. Because it's like probably a legit press conference because people actually gave a shit about this. Like
Right.
it's not one of the fake ones they put together randomly.
No, they did a really good job with it, and Karl Malone sold the hell out of it by looking mad the entire time. Like he was just super pissed off at Hogan and Rodman for being themselves.
Yeah, I can understand that. And dude, DDP is super over at this point. Like DDP is at the peak of his popularity between 97 and 98. I
Yeah,
mean,
and he was like he was hitting the diamond cutter from all sorts of places, and he was the everyman despite being like 41, 42 years old and just getting into wrestling. Like the man improved ridiculously.
dude, DDP, man, if he would have been like, I don't know if it's better that he came around at this time, but like if he was wrestling, like he could have had so much more reigns, title reigns and everything with how good he ended up being. Like if he would have started at like 30.
Yeah, like in the 80s back then when he was a manager and a commentator for a while. Like, could you imagine him facing like or him being friends with Ric Flair and then turning face on him like in the early 90s WCW?
Dude, yeah, him and Ric Flair, like, because that's still near like prime Ric Flair, man, that would have tore the house down.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is a good way to associate DDP with this angle is a great way to get him even more over.
Yeah, it is. And DD, God, I can't speak. DDP bringing in Karl Malone is such a power move, and I believe that he has he's like hyping up. He's like the mailman is coming, one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, whatever. And the best thing about this is I believe in the rise and fall of WCW. They talk about it, and DDP said like nobody really had any idea like Karl Malone was a wrestling fan really, and DDP was at like some game where the Jazz were playing, like an away team, maybe like the Hawks or somebody since they're based in Atlanta, and he said, Malone. Somebody told him Malone's like a big wrestling fan. He really likes the Diamond Cutter, and DDP like looked down to Malone, and they like locked eyes, and Malone gave him the Diamond Cutter sign, which is like just awesome.
Beautiful. Love it.
I want to say it's the rise and fall of WCW where he talks about that, but he's like he gave me the Diamond Cutter sign. And he's like right when I saw that, I was like, oh man, we got something here, which is
Well,
just fucking great. Karl
yeah.
Malone, what a fucking legend for being ready to jump in the ring with Dennis Rodman and Hogan.
Yeah, and we at the actual press conference, Malone he calls Hogan a sissy and a coward, and he said, "Yeah, nobody calls you that, but I will."
Yeah, dude, and Malone's like not a dude to mess with, man. He is fucking jacked at this point.
Yeah, he's like 6'9", 6'10" as well, and he's all muscle. Like he looks like a pro wrestler.
Yeah, he looks like he can fuck somebody up. Like his arms are fucking huge. Like he's rivaling Hogan in size.
Yeah, and he's clearly taller than him too. Like when they stand face to face in the ring.
Yeah, it's he's one of the more like celebrity appearances that I like the most, and it's one of the first ones that I've kind of seen, back in the day, like when I got the Rise and Fall of WCW DVD. Like I thought it was super cool that Karl Malone was brought into. Like it's hard to find two people in the same sport that have history, or two celebrities that have history to bring in to fight each other, and it just
Right.
worked out so like perfectly.
Right, because they even had like in the middle of the game, because they'd played each other in the finals and they play the same position, so they're on each other all times. And Malone and Rodman actually fought over a loose ball during like the finals, and the announcers are like, "Oh, they must be doing that to hype up their wrestling match." Like even the fact, even if you're going to say it like it's derogatory, that's still putting eyeballs on WCW.
Yeah, and you could tell there was like some real bad blood there. And I mean, even if like that could have been a work possibly, I don't think it was. But it's like, man, they are really rivals. Like they have to guard each other. They've played in the last two finals. There's a professional rivalry there and the competitive spirit that like these are the two best at their position in the world, and they're gonna go at it in a wrestling ring. Like where they can actually fight each other. There's not really a rule set where they can't touch each other in basketball that much.
Right. In WCW, they get to reap the benefits for it because I mean, as we said before, it was the second highest buy rate in WCW history was the Bash at the Beach pay-per-view.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of want to get right into that almost with this, but the only real big thing that happens before Malone's match is the fact that on June 29th, I believe, is when Hogan has his in-ring promo at the end of the show. And for some reason, Malone and DDP have been driving there all night. They keep showing like these limos or something.
They're in a
And
big rig, like a big truck.
oh yeah. And they show up in the big rig, and the big rig itself scares off all of the NWO. Just such an intimidating vehicle. It shows up and everybody runs off, and Malone and DDP are wearing the twin set of the DDP t-shirts, which is great. And they have chairs and they're on their way to the ring, and Hogan and Bischoff don't know it.
Yeah, they're still talking up there like, you know, DDP and Malone are losers, just like you all are losers in the crowd.
Yeah, and they're really talking about how they're not going to show up, nothing's going to happen. And Malone, the only criticism I have is that they brought chairs and just hit them together,
Yeah, they never used them.
which is weird.
It
But
was they should have just went in like completely like unarmed and everything and just came in, but it it worked out because we got Malone versus like DDP got rid of Bischoff, so we got Malone calling out Hogan, and Hogan was trying to get out of the ring, but Malone used his length to help prevent him from leaving, like almost like he was boxing him out.
yeah, he got in that defensive stance. He could have slapped the mat.
That would have made this like a 10 out of 10 moment.
The only thing I could think of, like, if you're gonna have them use chairs and hit them together, which is kind of weird, but whatever. This segment is still, don't get me wrong, very good. But what if you had Bischoff and Hogan both looking at the hard cam, DDP and Malone slide in, they tap him on the shoulder, they both turn around, double diamond cutter.
Oh, that would have been beautiful.
Like, obviously, don't have Karl Malone diamond cutter Hogan right then, but like have him diamond cutter Eric Bischoff because Bischoff is going to get his ass kicked by Karl Malone regardless.
Right. And I absolutely would have loved that. Like, this was a good substitute, but I think that would have been a perfect moment.
Yeah, because I mean, dude, the DDP was over, but the diamond cutter the move itself was even more over than DDP.
Right. The only thing that rivaled it or that was better than the diamond cutter at that point was the stunner.
Yeah, the diamond cutter is just incredible. One of my top 5 finishers of all time.
Yeah, it's got to be up there, man, because that and the RKO combined.
Yeah, both of those. They would each have a spot.
Yes, they really would, because they are separate moves. But one of the cool things about this was the Malone, after he called out Hogan and he did the thing, like Hogan was actually ready to beat the shit out of Malone. But then we get something that wasn't as cool was the weak little arm choke that Malone did to Hogan.
Yeah, that was a choice. That was interesting.
Like Braun Strowman did that move, Edge did that move. I'm pretty sure there was somebody else notable that did that move, and it never looks good.
No, it doesn't. And it's it was something, but it did build up to the slam though. So I guess it worked its way
Oh yeah,
to the moment.
It did, like, because when Malone hits that body slam on Hogan, the roof blows off the place.
Yeah, and again, using your celebrity the right way, they did a great job with Rodman for his first physical, moment, and Malone's was too, except for the bad choke and the two clotheslines after. But the slam
Yeah.
itself was worth it.
Yeah, like that would have been good enough if Hogan would have just rolled out of the ring after that and ended the moment. Like that would have been great. But instead, we get two really weak clotheslines from Malone. Like you could tell he didn't want to hurt Hogan and really take him out with it, so he just kind of bumped him.
Yeah, I would have showed him a video of JBL and been like, "This is what you need to do here."
He should have been throwing lariats instead. But
Yeah, seriously, show him a Stan Hansen video real quick and tell him this is what you got to do. Hogan's a pro.
And you know what? It seems like somebody taught him how to throw a clothesline within the week between, or the 2 weeks between this Nitro and Bash at the Beach, because at Bash at the Beach he actually throws some mean ass clotheslines.
Yeah, and this, well, let's just get right to Bash at the Beach then, because that Nitro, you have a good moment. It was a little mismanaged, but a good moment overall. I got to be honest, didn't watch the Bash at the Beach all the way through because I read the review and I heard it was pretty bad. I watched the match, I think it's on the WCW Rise and Fall DVD. So I know I've watched it before, but I do remember it being very slow.
So I did watch the whole thing, all 23 minutes of it. And if you want to count all the outside stuff, it was 35.
Ooh.
This may have been one of the worst wrestling matches that I have ever seen.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, you have one good worker technically in the match.
Yeah. That's really it. And when Karl Malone has the second best performance in the match, you know that shit has gone downhill really quick.
And this is the match, I believe, where Dennis Rodman allegedly fell asleep on the apron.
Yes, this is the match.
Oh man.
I do have some notes here for it, and I can walk you through it to jog your memory.
Go ahead.
So first, fashion watch, not Dennis Rodman, but Michael Buffer, wearing his white tuxedo with a white suit jacket.
Love that.
Bold move by Michael Buffer.
He walking around almost like Miami Vice like.
Like, have you seen the movie You Don't Mess with the Zohan?
I know what he looks like in it. Yes, but I haven't seen it. Like he wears that, doesn't it like a white and a red shirt underneath?
Yes, like that is Michael. He was Michael Walbridge in that movie. They actually had Michael Buffer play the main villain, but he reminded me of Michael Walbridge.
Oh, God.
So Buffer announces the tag match to be bigger than any title.
Okay.
Bold move. Heenan says, because he's probably been listening to our podcast, he's coming back from the future. He said, "I wonder what Rodman will have on."
That's a good question. You never know.
Yes. To answer that, he has a Rodzilla t-shirt. So he has a t-shirt of himself, the black bandana, white and blue shades, and he's serving looks to the photographers at ringside. There are a shit ton of them.
Oh yeah.
DDP and Malone are dressed in matching gear, and they chase the heels away, and they really stall this match for a very long time, like about 5 minutes before they really get a start. They managed to start the match with Rodman versus Malone. So
yeah, that's a very bold choice.
And it really worked, like it first, because Rodman comes into the ring, he's acting all cocky, and he keeps hiding in the ropes. Like every time Malone goes to touch him, he keeps backing off into the ropes. And then they really try to put both men over, like the announcers, where they're saying, "Oh, look how quick and athletic they are, even just doing these basic things." Then Rodman locks in a big headlock. Yes, like this is one of his biggest moves, the one that he can't fuck up. He locks in a headlock, but then bails after hitting the ropes. Malone goes for the arm choke again on Hogan, and then he hits him with a big slam. And Malone, I will give all the credit to Malone. Like, this man was a professional during this match. He got hype, like, and he worked the crowd. Like, he did an excellent job in this wrestling match.
Yeah, I did love Malone's performance. I remember the first time, watching it. Like he did his job.
Yeah, he did solid, but he was we end up getting DDP and Rodman in, and they do a few lockups and there's a few shoves, and there are loud boring chants.
Yeah, this is the worst case scenario. Like 1997, first match, tag team match with Rodman is the best case scenario. This is literally the worst, probably.
Yes, it's the worst thing that could have happened here because we end up getting a Rodman hits a good arm drag, again, one of the only moves that he can do. And Hogan starts to do the Ric Flair strut on the ring apron to celebrate. So that was cool. But then Rodman goes for a shoulder tackle. Like, he's standing in the middle of the ring off the ropes, and DDP is supposed to crash into him. And I'm almost certain that they were supposed to do it where they're both supposed to stand there. Like, they can't knock the other over. But DDP shoulder blocks him so hard that Rodman stumbles and falls over.
Oh, the raw power of DDP.
Like, it was like DDP was coming in with a basketball down the lane and just charged the hell out of him.
I love it.
But it didn't look good. It looked awful. They were a bunch of boos. And Rodman and them go for it again in the corner. And DDP is supposed to go down, I think, but Rodman hits him with the shoulder and just falls to the ground, and then DDP falls over too.
Oh man, yeah, this sounds pretty rough. I remember some of this, but I do remember the Rodman getting away kind of things and the arm drag and stuff. But man,
yeah,
this is not sounding good.
Yes, so we get to the point where the story that they tell isn't bad when it comes to Rodman is scared of Malone, like he won't compete with him, and when Malone eventually has his back turned, Rodman hits him from behind, and then Hogan gets a heat segment on Karl Malone, and he pretty much he puts him in a chin lock, and then he slams him, and then he drops an elbow, and then he puts him in another chin lock, and Rodman ends up falling down again.
Oh no!
All this is happening. There was a really bad back suplex on Malone, which is Malone sandbagged it because obviously he didn't want to get dropped on the top of his head.
Yeah.
The best part of this match was DDP came in on a hot tag, springboarded over the ropes, hit a clothesline on Hogan, and then ran into the corner and just gave him a Sawa forearm to Rodman.
Oh God! He was probably like, Rodman's asleep. I got to knock him back awake.
Because it was beautiful, because you could tell he just laid it in, and Rodman hit the deck like he got knockout punched.
I didn't know that DDP would vault into the ring. I'm more impressed by that.
It was surprising. He did it like it was nothing. He just climbed up to the top. 98 DDP had some athleticism, man.
I love that.
Yeah, so then we get DDP gets brought down again, coming off the hot tag. It was like somebody getting a hot tag, and then the heel just comes in with a big boot and cuts him off. It was kind of like that.
God.
So they beat down DDP, and I went to check the time, and there was 12 minutes left, and I just groaned.
Oh, yeah, that's rough.
So Rodman puts DDP in a front face lock. They do a bunch of double teams and eat up time. Hogan ends up missing a leg drop on DDP and does a hot tag to Karl Malone.
Okay.
Hogan begs off immediately, and Malone throws some hard clotheslines. He slams Hogan, and then the big moment is when he slams Dennis Rodman.
Okay, so you at least got the moment, though. You have to get that one signature moment for it.
Right, and Malone slamming Rodman was the peak of this match, other than DDP, his springboard clothesline and Masaba forearm.
Does Dennis, or not Dennis Rodman, does Karl Malone hit a diamond cutter in this match?
Yes, he does.
Okay, good. I thought so. I remember that.
Yeah, we're getting near the finish with there's a double noggin knocker by Malone. Then he slams Hogan's head into the turnbuckle a bunch of times, and he hits the Kevin Nash big boot on Hogan and makes the tag to DDP. So DDP comes in, hits the diamond cutter on Hogan, and then Malone hits the diamond cutter on Rodman to a huge fucking pop.
Oh,
But then the disciple, Brother Brudai, the Booty Man, the Zodiac,
oh,
Brutus the
fuck.
Barber Beefcake himself, makes the run in with the referee distracted and hits a terrible stunner on DDP. I think it was supposed to be a cutter, but he didn't get him all the way down for it.
The only thing I could say about this whole run-in is to channel JR and say, "Oh, son of a bitch."
So after that terrible stunner, Hogan pins DDP for the win.
Yep, I knew that they won. I think I listened to the 83 Weeks about this, and Conrad flat out asked him. He was like, sometimes you gotta put the heels over at the end. You want to send them home happy sometimes, but his rationale was just sometimes you have to have the heels win.
Which makes sense. I just wish it was Malone getting pinned because like DDP still has to come back to work, like, and he just got pinned after that half-ass stunner. Like maybe they could have did like he gets hit in the head with a chair or something, but the way he won, it was just holy shit, dude. This match was terrible.
Very true. It would have been a lot better if he pins Malone, because Malone doesn't have to come back. And DDP is, he's your number two baby face at this point, maybe even number one.
Yeah, right behind Goldberg, really.
Yeah, that's true. I was thinking like you have him, Sting, and Goldberg. Like those are always your top three faces. Like for a couple years there, and they kind of change fluidly as it goes.
Right, and that's the thing. DDP, when it came to overness, was probably more over than Sting after the NWO turn. So he, we do get Malone getting his heat back of all people. Malone gives a diamond cutter to the disciple.
Oh, I mean, I like it, but
So
it's something.
the best part is Charles Robinson, Lil Nate is the referee for this match. He was going to raise the hand of like Hogan and Rodman, but they're both down. So Karl Malone is demanding that Charles Robinson raise his hand, and Robinson's like, "No, you didn't win the match. Like, I'm not going to raise your hand." So Karl Malone gives a diamond cutter to Charles Robinson.
Wow, diamond cutters all around.
And then Malone grabbed DDP, raised him up, and raised his hand. But the NWO, Hogan's like, "We won fair and square, brother."
No, that's not what happened.
That's a Hulk Hogan lie, typical for him. And that was the end of the match, and that was the end of the pay-per-view, was Hogan and Rodman walking off triumphantly to their music while Malone and DDP celebrated in the crowd for some reason.
Okay. A little bit different there. I do like that we got the diamond cutters to both the heels.
Right.
Just could have been laid out so well, but it just didn't translate. If you give them 12 minutes, it would work a lot better. Just the 30 minutes with entrances just does not help these two.
No, not at all. Like you have to shorten that sort of thing. Like Big Show and Floyd Mayweather was under 10 minutes. Somehow that tag match worked best case scenario, and that thing was like 20 minutes. They originally wanted to give it like 40.
Which one? This one here?
No, the other one.
Oh, the 97 one.
Yeah, they wanted to give it like 40 minutes.
The only person you can only give more than 20 minutes to elite workers. It's very hard to do that with the characters in these matches.
Right. Like the only guy that I could see going more than 20 minutes credibly would be DDP.
Yeah, I mean, like if you really force Luger to do it, I guess you can buy it.
Right.
Out of all these people, but like the Giant shouldn't be fighting somebody for 20 minutes. Neither should Hogan or Malone or any of these. It's just very hard. Like, I don't know. Like if it's a DDP and Sting match, like, yeah, give them 25 minutes, let them go. But
right.
This is hard to swallow after 7 with what's going on.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find out now because I'm curious. The next month, Jay Leno wrestles in a match against teaming with DDP against Hogan and Bischoff, and they get 14 minutes and 31 seconds for that match.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Yeah, like that could work.
That's going to be an episode probably too.
Yeah, we're going to have to take a long break from WCW after this, but that will definitely be there because that's at the Road Wild pay-per-view too, so that's an interesting place to do it.
Yes, it is. And we're not going to get into too much about that, but there's some questionable decisions on Jay Leno and his wrestling ability there.
Yes, there is.
With what goes down in that match, but that'll be something, a story for another day. So overall, though, how do you feel about Dennis Rodman's run in conclusion here?
The 97 run was excellent. He did a great job. He wasn't he's not a natural. I still don't think he's a natural talker. He has a very quiet voice and he tends to mumble like without even considering his alleged inebriation during some of these moments. But he's not, but he's a natural, like when it comes to being a heel. And I think that he's naturally athletic. And when he practices enough, he's able to get a lot of stuff down. But when he knows his role, like in 97, and he's willing to work hard at it, he's an excellent performer. And at the top of his fame was perfect for WCW. 98 was another story, man. 98 was rough.
Yeah, I did kind of enjoy watching this. Like, Dennis Rodman is just one of those, he's like one of those enigmatic characters. Like, there's just some of those people in history where it's like, you might not know anything about basketball, but like this dude's interesting regardless. And I don't know, like it made me want to look into more, like to read Dennis Rodman's book after seeing this. Like, I think his 97 run was like an elite celebrity run in wrestling.
Yeah, it absolutely was.
98, not so much, but still passable,
right.
I guess. Like, besides for the match, but like, the interaction and the story, line built into that worked. So it was definitely still passable. You got, what you wanted out of it. Just the match at the end there was very anticlimactic. But Dennis Rodman's like, I don't know, I guess he's up there in like these people for me, like Jim Morrison. Like, I didn't really know too much about the Doors, but like after reading some stuff about Jim Morrison, I was like, I got to find out more about this guy. And that's how I am about Dennis Rodman right now after watching some of this.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's one of the more intriguing individuals that you'll ever really learn about. And Rodman himself is like, he's especially he's almost always relevant at some point, even if it's on a Z-list level. He's always like, you could talk about him like right now with what he's doing in The Last Dance, but before that, the stuff with Kim Jong-un, like what the hell, who would ever think?
That was like the most random thing, because I swear no one knew before he got off the plane in North Korea. Like, it was just one day they're like, Dennis Rodman has landed in North Korea, and I was like, who? Why is he there? Like, not the president, not like an ambassador, but we just sent Dennis Rodman to North Korea. Like, oh God. Yeah, he always has some crazy thing that's going on that he is somehow a part of.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to him for always managing to stay relevant, but he also this wasn't the end of Dennis Rodman in WCW either.
No, we chose not to cover his 1999 run just because it's not very high, it's not held in the highest regard.
No.
He did fight Savage at a pay-per-view.
Yes.
I can't say I know exactly what the issue was, but they did have a nice little spot on the Jay Leno show.
They did, but on WCW 1999, that Road Wild, they had Savage and Rodman had a one-on-one match where there were 4 ref bumps, so 5 referees in total, and Rodman was locked into a porta potty and Savage pushed it over.
I did hear about that on Bischoff's podcast. That's a choice too. That's a fucking wow. I hope there wasn't anything actually in it, but oh
Um,
god.
somebody said it was just like apple juice and dog food. Like I'm reading like DDT's Digest, which covered WCW in the 90s and 2000s. Like I'm hoping that's it, and they didn't just say, "Okay, Dennis, you got to deal with this."
Yeah, Dennis, get out there in that fucking porta potty that people have used all day. Like,
Still, either way, it's gross. But yeah, so that happens. So that's what ends up happening with Dennis Rodman in WCW, and he also ended up wrestling Kurt Hennig in Australia. They had, I believe, an Outback Death Match. It was called,
oh god.
and I want to say that Rodman won by DQ.
In a death match, there was a DQ.
I'm pretty sure.
I like it. I like it.
Creative.
Yeah, and he does have his second retirement as listed on his Wikipedia after he wins the Celebrity Championship Wrestling. So good for him.
Yes, at least he went out a champion.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be in to see more Dennis Rodman in wrestling, like right now. Like if he showed up in AEW and they were like, they used him in a similar to Mike Tyson, where they were like, oh, award this title to somebody. That'd just be cool to randomly see him again. But
he'd start cutting a promo about how cool Kim Jong-un was.
like
it'd be a disaster.
Man, yeah, it's weird because he's just such this, larger than life personality, but most people that have come across him say he's pretty introverted. So it's like he's just such a unique person.
He really is, man. And like I'm glad that we chose this segment to do, because I don't think anybody has ever talked in depth other than Eric Bischoff about Dennis Rodman being in WCW.
No, I like to try to get these hidden gems here with these, like, people have talked about David Arquette, but how many people have talked about Dennis Rodman?
That's a nice little foreshadowing, by the way.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about David Arquette next, in 2 weeks.
Yes, that's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm ready for that too. I know a lot of people have covered it, but they haven't exactly covered all of the shows that David Arquette's going to be on. They cover when he won the title and on Slamboree, but they haven't covered every single show. Like we're doing deep dive, like David Arquette versus Tank Abbott being a deep dive.
Ooh, yeah, that's gonna be fucking cool. Not gonna lie. And David Arquette, man, back in the ring too, which we'll have to touch on at the end of that episode. Man, he almost died coming back into the ring.
I forgot about that. Oh my god! Because I was in my I was actually, for one of my classes at school, I was in a screenwriting class, and I was writing my screenplay about wrestling, and my professor emailed me and said, "Did you see what happened with David Arquette? He almost died."
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Yes, it
not
was
that,
great.
Not that David Arquette almost died, but that your professor knew that. But yeah, dude, like I'm going into this, like I'm gonna say, like I'm a David Arquette fan. Like I feel like he seems like he's a cool dude. Like he didn't want to, win the title. He's been very vocal about that, but he was a fan, and he seems like he actually respected the business. And obviously, to come back like 18 years later and try to like right his wrongs, is really cool. So that's gonna be fun to discuss.
Absolutely. Like I'm really excited for that. And up next for our worst of wrestling, oh gosh, what would it be? Would it be the match the last one that we just watched?
You know what? I have it right here. Let me find it here. This would be dropping on June 24th, which means it is the San Francisco 49ers match.
Oh, let's go.
Man, this WCW run has been like a 5 or 6 week run we've had here, which I have enjoyed it more than I thought I would. Like I've been very hyped to watch this stuff, because this is some stuff I'm seeing for the first time, and it's incredible.
It really is. It's so much fun to talk about, because even if it's garbage, like the only two things that I've really regretted watching were only thing that I regretted watching was the main event match for Bash at the Beach 98. Everything else, like even if I got frustrated at the booking or whatever, it was still fun.
Yeah, man, it's some fucking wild stuff. So I mean, it's definitely worth the look back, and some of these episodes, like the worst of wrestling, is meant for the watch-alongs. But there's a lot of people that do not get to, that don't watch what we watch all the way through for some of these. And some of these, like, they're the ones you want to go back and watch. Like some of this Dennis Rodman stuff is actually like really good, and those are the kind of things that you might not have watched, when it happened, and it's fun.
It is, and we highly suggest for you to check out the Kevin Federline episode we did, because that is a gem. I really think it's an underrated episode that we did, and I want more people to see Kevin Federline as the top heel.
Speaking, yeah, another celebrity, man. People don't remember a lot about Kevin Federline. Like, he's faded from the limelight except for legal issues with Britney Spears, pretty much. But, like, that dude had a great run also. So I do want people to listen to that. Like, if we're going to push one episode for people to listen to, as of right now, it's Kevin Federline, because that was just, man, what a time to be a wrestling fan that Kevin Federline can pin John Cena.
And nobody remembers it either, so it's like it never happened.
Yeah, no, people just forget about it. And like, there's some other things I forget, like celebrity involvements. I looked back at some of the Mania results one time, and it said Snooki defeated somebody, like she was tagged with somebody.
Yes.
And I was like, what? Fucking Snooki was there?
Yes, at the top of Jersey Shore's popularity too.
And some of the stuff that has happened in wrestling is just fucking wild.
It is. That's why we're here.
Yeah, and so that's it. This might be our longest episode, but Dennis Rodman deserves it for that 97 run.
Yes, God bless.
So next week, June 24th, we will have the San Francisco 49ers match. That's between Booker T and Jeff Jarrett. That was a fun watch-along. You get the Vince Russo greatest hits because things are on a poll.
Fuck yeah. So ready.
So make sure to check that one out. And then the week after that, we will be back with David Arquette to help finish up our WCW run. I think we have one more watch along for a WCW match after that, but then we're going to depart from the land of WCW for a while.
It'll be nice to get back to some good old. Actually, we haven't decided what we're gonna do yet, but it's not gonna be WCW. But it'll be nice to get back to another comfort zone.
Yeah, we don't want to rip on too many things over and over, and I don't think we've really ripped on WCW except for the reboot.
Yeah, that was a little harsher than I'd expected it when we after going back and listening to it, but it was still worth watching.
Yeah, it has its moments like everything. So that was good, but check us out on socials. Follow us on Instagram, Stranger Rings Pod, Twitter, Stranger Rings 1. Please, if you can, if you're all the way through this episode to here, leave us that 5-star review if you would be so kind to do so, and tell all your wrestling friends about us, because we're just two dudes that like wrestling, man. We ain't trying to, make a career out of this. It'd be nice if that does happen, but we're doing it out of passion right now.
Right. It's so much fun, and I love being able to see, like, when there, shout out to the few people that have reached out and said, hey, I listened to your podcast, I really enjoyed it, or like, I heard you on the New Blood podcast and I checked you out, now I'm going through all your stuff. Like, thank you guys. Like, it's really cool because we're just here having fun, and we're hoping to bring you guys that little bit of entertainment in a very tough world that's happening right now.
Yeah, man, we're going to all get through it, and hopefully we're going to be able to, make it to a wrestling show with a crowd. It's been a while, man. I'm itching to get back to one.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So it's going to be fun. So just follow those, leave a review, and keep up with the Twitter. We're very active there. We keep trying to post nice little pictures about what's coming up, and Tom is always retweeting some good funny stuff like what Mongo will do next.
Yes, I'm going to be sure to shout them out. Holy shit, what an account.
Yeah, man, great stuff. So, all right, we'll be back next week for the San Francisco 49ers, man. We'll see ya.